today, Monday, May 25th, 2026. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes. But if you would like to get on the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure you're tapping that screen. We'll get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, I will be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you would like to see that full video, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. But before we get started today, first and foremost, most important question, scale of 1 to 10. How are we doing right now? Deep cleansing breaths as I say that. Listen, we're gonna talk a little bit about the energy right now, because there's a few things to pay attention to. They're important. It's important to be able to navigate. Um, we're currently going through a period of time where we're entering Gemini season, and we've got a Sagittarius full moon coming up. Now, the thing about it, and I kind of like, we always kind of feel a little bit of this um intensity, as it were, when we move into Gemini season from Taurus. But if you felt that this shift has felt a little bit more intense than you're typically used to, there are a couple of reasons by which that could be the case. First and foremost, it's very important to notate that the new moon that we just experienced potentially felt a lot like a full moon. Taurus energy can already be very intense by its nature. So the ability of going through a Taurus new moon in Taurus season can sometimes feel like a lot of additional density, or feeling a lot of weight as it relates to circumstances or situations. The thing that's nice about it, though, is given the fact that we also see that during this time we've got Jupiter in Cancer, but Venus is also in Cancer. I kind of want to say, like, the funny thing about it is, and I know that there's been, like, I feel like there was a lot of anxiety and relationality to navigating this energy right now, particularly astrologically, due to the similarities that we've seen or recognized in other periods of time. But, like, there's something kind of lovely about the fact that we see Venus in Cancer as Jupiter is in Cancer, because it's a lot of, like, let love light the way kind of energy, like allowing for the space by which you allow the loving approach. Like, if you like, I know, and it almost, like, I want to point out, like, when we talk about equivalency points in relationality to energy, Jupiter in can like, it's not that it's Leo energy. It's not that it's Leo energy, but if I might propose something to pay attention to, if I was inclined to try to identify the space by which often Leonine energy resides, popping Jupiter in Cancer, and then throwing Venus in there too, is it's going to feel kind of like an equivalency point. It's going to feel somewhat similar. And I think that, in a way, I think that there's something really important there, to pay attention to, as it relates to, as it relates to the context of being able to recognize and identify, like, the work that we do, like, And I want to put it this way. This is like the best way I can describe this energy right now. Um, when we're There are many different ways to live, but I think that one of the most beautiful ways to identify how others perceive us moving through existence is when you think about the shape of your heart, right? And this is why we often talk about the anxiety or the detriment of being too much in our egoic space, because when we're too much in our egoic space, when we're worried about saving face, we lose the shape of our heart, right? Because it's the understanding and the recognition that when we're working into the context of being able to understand the significance of what we try to do, we often feel like we're perpetually navigating a lot of imperfection, right? Like kind of working through experiences and feeling energetically frustrated and doing the things that we have to do, and then often feeling the frustration in relationality to wishing that there was more that we can do. But, the equivalency point in understanding that that experience by which we are able to identify, and I feel like we often recognize this when we feel when we feel deep in solitude but not lonely, then it often feels like we are the only ones that are holding the shape of our heart. But when we understand and we work into the context or the value of what it is that we're trying to do, right? When we go through all of that, we go through all that heavy, messy work of trying to do something as best as we possibly can, the quality, right, the gift that effectively comes from that is that others are able to see it too. And that, right, like that in a certain extent is the fullest expression of our love. It's the understanding of others who are able to value or perceive the shape of our hearts. And I feel like often we talk about, right? We often talk, and I think it's interesting too, because like I think that often when we go through Gemini cycles, we start walking into the interesting aspect of like the horrors of being perceived, right? Or the observation of how difficult it is in the context by which we try to identify something we feel within in a way that others experience it in the same way. And I think in that way, in relationality to potentially the way that others anticipated that this potential energy would be experienced versus what's not happening there. To me, I think that one of the valuation points that's really significant to take into consideration is effectively where we see that Venus is placed, right? Because to a certain extent, you want you want Venus positioned next to Jupiter, right? You want and it's a conversation, right? It's a beautiful conversation that one can have, which talks about, the work. Like to me, Venus and Jupiter in such close proximity in Cancer talks to us about the fact that the job, right? The job is not to close your heart, and the job is not to shed your ego, but to close the distance between them, right? Like it's like when when you're when you're doing the work, right? When you're doing the work to try to close the distance, right, between, right, that where your heart's placed and where your ego's placed. What do we call that? We call that integrating. We call that integrity, right? And it's not easy, right? Because sometimes as you try to bring them together, it's like, oh, it's like it can sometimes feel really frustrating. But then in the context by which you do it, and this is why we see that the new relationship cycle that seems to have been starting up ever since we went through that Taurus new moon and Taurus season are relationships that are concentrating on the strength card, or the signs that we see, the lessons that we learn in the strength card in the tarot. And I like to teach about this card because there's a couple things that I teach a little bit different than others. One is the astrological significance of this card. I have a bit of a different take on it, but more importantly, the understanding that there's something that's very unique about this card in the quality of all the other major arcana that we see. And what's the quality that we identify in this depiction that deviates tremendously from every other card in the deck. There is the connection, right? There is the point of contact. There's the point of contact between, right, the animal and the person, right? And I need to point this out. Go take a look at your deck. There's no other, there is no other card in the tarot where we see the animal and the person that are energetically touching. Now there are depictions, right? There are depictions there of horses, but they're being ridden, and there's no touching, right? There's no contact because there's a saddle in between. Nor do we see it in the chariot, nor do we see it in the moon card that has the depiction of the wild animals on it. This is the only card, right? This is the only card that has that point of contact, and it's that point of contact that we understand is important, because when we understand, and this is what the genius, the brilliance of Pamela Coleman Smith's work is in relationality to what they effectively identified, or the work that we see that was depicted in the cards, when we see the intentionality of the understanding of how hard that is to wrestle, right? The observation of feeling, right? Here are all of our feelings. Here are all these things that feel that they're in us that we try to quell, we try to suppress, we try to control. But then there's the observation that says, well, if you're in a healthy space, right? If there's love in between you, then control is not needed, because it's the conversation that says, right? When we do things because we're afraid, that's not intentional. But when we do things that show, right, there's nothing braver than leading with love, because the love that we give, right, the love that we give forth comes back to us in unexpected ways. And what is the love that we give forth, and how does it come back to us? It comes back to us in the form of memory, right? And this is why we talk about the fact that love soothes the savage beast, because it's the observation that when something contains memory, then the memory of the kindness that was energetically distributed to it is something that effectively echoes through it or comes across into it. So this is really important in relationality to what we see is happening right now, particularly and especially as we navigate the differences or the shifts that we see that are currently occurring across different frequencies. Now, let's talk first, right? Let's talk first about the energy and solitude, because I see that for a lot of these relationships, this is either working on the relationship of the self in solitude or the new relationships that are coming together at this time. A lot of this work that we see that's happening, I want to describe. I think that there's something very valuable and important about the conversation that we have in relationality to like I want to describe like the navigation of the quote unquote wild side, right? Ugh. you know, and I want to point this out too, which is like, and I want to describe, this is why we do our shadow work effectively, right? Because like, and I want to point out, like, if you're in that moment, if you're like, there is something inside me that is dark that I cannot let go. I'm like, have you talked to someone? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, that sounds like you're suppressing something, right? Because it's the feeling or the work that we do, right? Like the feeling that we have in relationality to not navigating things, that often creates, right? It often creates that feeling of heaviness or weight in us, right? It's like the things that we don't address often feel that they're oppressing us, right? The things that we feel we don't address often feel like they're energetically oppressing us, specifically and particularly because we're not addressing them. So, what happens when you don't address something? It becomes foreboding. Boom, 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 right? It gets real big. It gets real foreboding in here, right? So our ability to effectively navigate things with a sense of proportionality, right? And here's the important thing, right? And this is what we often talk about when it comes to like working through shadow work. And again, I feel like shadow work is sometimes a big scary word. Even I feel like the thing about it, I feel like we need to do shadow work on the word shadow work, because I feel like shadow work is a shadow worky word for saying confronting the things that are hard to face, being able to navigate the work that we do. It's helping us identify and move through uncomfortability. And the thing about it is there's a very important vital difference between what we identify. And this is why this is the biggest gift that one has when one does shadow work effectively. It's your ability of being able to define what you're uncomfortable about, right? Because you have to understand there are two different things that hide in your uncomfortability. The two things that hide in your uncomfortability is a standard, right? Is a standard that is being crossed, right? Something that is not okay, something that is really uncomfortable that needs to be addressed. Or or there's trauma disguised as a standard. And that is often even more dangerous because the trauma that we disguise as standards is what is literally the trauma that we then impart to those around us, right? It becomes like the trauma that we don't address, that masquerades as standards, becomes a harmful legacy that we pass on in the state of family, in the state of friendship, in the state of history. So the work that we do to effectively address the uncomfortability is how we effectively heal. So when we identify the fact that, like, it's like you can choose not to do your shadow work. You can choose not to address the uncomfortable, but be prepared, right? Be prepared to experience that more and more and more, because all you're doing when you're not addressing it is you're handing it to others, right? You're handing it to others to have to navigate and deal with. So I feel like what we basically see for a lot of the energy that's in solitude right now is either doing, right, that careful but important work of dismantling the trauma, right? Because that's what it feels like when you're doing it effectively, because you're not going to be able to get rid of it. You can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of it, but you can dismantle it, right? Doing that heavy work in dismantling the trauma, right? And how do you dismantle something? How do you dismantle something that's volatile? You do it, you don't rush into it, you do it carefully. You do it conscientiously. You do it incrementally, right? Much like we see with the strength card, right? That's not someone wrestling, that's someone petting, right? So someone doing that very important but necessary work to dismantle the trauma to be able to understand it better. Or we see that these are relationships that are potentially going through the messy work of talking about what didn't work in past partnerships and taking I'm going to keep on. I'm going to see. I'm seeing this here because we started this reading yesterday with the Fool card and its reversal in combination with the Strength card and its reversal, right? Like the messy business of getting to the hard work to be able to get the benefit of that, getting stronger by getting stronger at being uncomfortable, because that's how, right, that's how we find that strength. But not, and then keep on getting the thing about it is we often feel sometimes clumsy and awkward along the way. But that, and I want to describe this, and this is what we often learn. Like, listen, we still got a lot of planets in Aries, right? Aries, I love, and this is what I like. Aries and Sagittarius both understand this profoundly, which is the only way you can get better at something is if you're willing to be clumsy. The only way you can get better at something is if you're willing to be clumsy, because the clumsiness that we effectively bring to things, right, allows us the ability to be able to identify and understand even further what it is we're trying to do most effectively. Now, those are the relationships that have been coming together since that Taurus new moon and Taurus season. This brings us to the energy that's moving deeper into divine union right now. And those are the relationships that we're building into the world card of the tarot. They were coming together between the time of the Taurus new moon in Taurus season, between up leading into the Capricorn new moon that we had in Capricorn season. So there was a lot of healthy progress that we potentially saw that was occurring in those experiences. And what we like to see in those experiences is there is something that is very qualitative about the relationships that are coming together right now that have to do, right? The identification and the understanding of working through mutual potentiality, right? The ability that we effectively identify and recognize as it relates to things that are energetically mutually beneficial. And for a lot of those relationships, the major healing moment that we potentially see that's happening there has to do with the observation that everything is possible so long as the work is mutual, and the mutuality that we put into relationships is not built upon or based upon the silent expectation of what we aspire or hope something to be, but rather the ability by which we're able to amplify those hopes in a determinative way as it relates to what it is we're putting our intention or our shape of possibility to. So what we like to see here that's rather beautiful in a lot of these relationships is the fact that we identify that there's a tremendous amount of possibility there. But what the possibility that is there, the reason that it's so joyful is because it's mutually shared, right? It's mutually articulated upon, it's mutually expressed. And it's not it's not the energy, right? It's not the energy that feels like they're in a relationship where they're effectively holding their breath, because there's no breath holding needed, simply and particularly because they share they share the same manifestation goals, right? There's no wait and see approach. There is and there is, rather than isn't, like rather than like being solidly in a state of determination and being. Now, that brings us to the energy that's deep within divine union right now. And these are the moon relationships. Now, the moon relationships were coming together between the time of between the time of the Capricorn new moon that we experienced in around January 18th of this year, leading into Uranus first going retrograde, which occurred, I believe, around September 6th. Now, these relationships, I gotta say, what's happening with these relationships right now may be feeling that there's a lot of work that's happening there, specifically and particularly as it relates to navigating forward from a place of conversation and intimacy. Now, for a lot of these, one of the things I want to point out that I think is really important for these moon relationships that was coming through has to do with the identification point of the high priestess in its upright that we received with the empress in its reversal. And the truth is, I don't mind seeing these two cards in combination, because I always talk about this. The opposite, like when this is why I teach the classes, because you have to understand that just because a card is in its reversal does not mean it just means the opposite. You have to understand the nuance of what one is seeing. And so, to a certain extent, we actually see that when these two cards are in this type of placement, it means that there's a beautiful point of placement that's potentially occurring there, right? These are relationships that understand the power of a healthy give and take, right? They're doing that important work to effectively calibrate. So for a lot of that energy, that calibration, as it were, right? That identification of not only working through something, but working through something in a way by which they're taking proportional approaches to things. I like it because I think for some of these moon relationships right now, I feel like a lot of them, they're deep within that Venus Jupiter energy that we see in Cancer, which makes a lot of sense given that they're moon relationships, which means um, they're focusing, right? They're focusing on deepening into strong connections, and there's something about that depth. And I want you to understand this. It's because they're finally in a relationship where they don't have to spend every minute working upon the concerns of the surface level relationship, right? So I almost feel like they're kind of they're going about the business of navigating a lot of those old wounds. And for some of those old wounds, I think that it's hard because there could be a lot of feelings that are coming up. But to a certain extent, um, we have to, like, one has to feel things in order to heal them. So there may be a lot of that. Um, yeah, there may be a lot of that energy, like rising up to the certain surface to a certain extent, but the reason, right? The reason that the energy has the things that are rising up to the surface is because it's creating the state or space by which they're able to effectively dive into them in order to heal them even more. So there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot of that there's a lot of that energy there, and there's a lot of that like emotion, but I keep on getting the reason that they're potentially feeling emotional is because they're finally in a relationship that feels that it has space to navigate the full depth of their emotions. Now, that is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's daily collective read. But if you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which is going to be held on Thursday. Thursday, June 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern, we will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards the ace cards. We're going to be focusing on the ace cards. If you'd like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletters there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule and my mystic meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards. Just wrote one recently on this new moon in Taurus that we just experienced. I'll be having one shortly on this full moon that we've got coming up in a few days. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute reads, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey at a discount, as well as dream interpretation readings, which you can purchase per dream or as a series. Now, if you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. That said, we are going to get started on today's daily collective read shortly. I am going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as it was reading. QT, thank you so much for the follow. I appreciate you. And Fun Size, thank you for that shard of hope. I feel like shard of hope is my favorite new gift. It's so like it's got like dark crystal vibes to it. You know what I mean? I kind of dig it. Absolutely. Excellent. Just taking a moment to see everybody. And just a reminder to those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, your paid membership there entitle you to the same benefits that I've articulated for those who are on the clock app. I am timeless, Z. That's very kind of you to say, Jen. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Hairs are supposed to be frizzy rocks. Absolutely. I mean, it's interesting that you indicate that humans have too much time on their hands. B-Rad, what are you? Are you not a human? I'll take some of that time if you've got it. I'll be happy to take some off of your hands. Hello there. How you doing today, heavy metal? Oh, you can be called anything you want. Absolutely. Excellent. And how are you doing today, AS? Hope you're having an absolutely beautiful day. All right, perfect. And welcome as well, Kay. How are you doing today? Welcome. How you doing, Kay Megan? So good to see you today, dear. How have you been? Grand Rising Rotez. You're so welcome, Unique. Thank you for being here and being a part of this collective. Grand Rising Ella. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen the Uke before. I love him. Thank you, Avatar, for that lovely gift. Guys, please remember, we're doing 2 giveaways today over on the Clock app. The first one will be a reading for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. The other reading giveaway we're going to be doing is when we get to 50K likes, I'll be gifting a reading back to the collective. For those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, whoever gives the highest gift between now and the daily collective read ending will be able to receive a free card. And if you become a paid member, you will also be having a free card. That is included with your readings each day, as well as the discounted rate for those who are subscribers. Absolutely. And thank you for joining us today, Abivet. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. This is my natural hair, Nathaniel. What are you talking about? How are you doing today? Howdy, Avatar. It's been chill. I've been so chill. It's weird. I'm telling you, I feel like it's because Venus is in Cancer right now with Jupiter. It's like, yep. I'm feeling that probably F5, but I understand, dear. Make sure that you're taking care and resting. Denise, Grand Rising, dear. And guys, please welcome and thank Kay Megan Armad for all of their help today. Absolutely. Kay, thank you for reposting and sharing. Always appreciated. And Unique, thank you for sharing the live as well. Fun Size, thank you for the follow. Absolutely. I'm glad to hear you're spending time with your family, Ella. You're wearing the same shirt? Hey, you've got exquisite taste, Fran. Heba, I hope that some of the messages here help you feel more balanced. If you're feeling dysregulated, I want you to make sure that you're reaching out to someone in your direct vicinity to make sure that you can find that sense of balancing, right? Spirit's first directive is to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves first and foremost so that we can be most beneficial to those who are around us as well. So make sure that you're putting that care in yourself in terms of feeling like you're in a state of calm and balance. Hi there, White Lotus. Hope you have a beautiful day today. Thank you as well, Avatar. And Modified, thank you for the follow. I just came in. I imagine it. Oh, really? A blind nurse? Oh, Lauren, Lauren, was that a dream that you had? We do dream interpretations here. So for anybody who wants to get on the list right now, it's an absolutely lovely time to get on the list. Just a reminder, we read for, and I'll also point out the list is going to be very short today. So if you are hoping to secure a spot for a personal reading, I would encourage you to do so sooner rather than later. Also, the first person on the list each day always has an additional card in their reading. It's 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers, Binks and my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. We read for here life path, highest priority messages from spirit, angelic, dream interpretation, past life, mediumship, love readings, pet readings, animal spirit guide readings, akashic, mind, body, spirit, love, and aura. If you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channels in a disco channel in the appropriate channel. Absolutely. You're so welcome, dear. And White Lotus, thank you for that follow. Appreciate you. And Betty, thank you for the follow as well. QT, thank you for that follow. How you doing today, Gabrielle? Grand Rising Creative, good to see you today. Grand Rising Fun Size. Welcome back, Kay. So good to see you guys. Make sure to give our mod K Meg some love. Sharavon, good to see you as well. Hi there, Kath. Good to see you too, dear. Oh, it says roads where we're going. We don't need roads. Absolutely. Just bear with me. Excellent. And just bear with me. All right. So as I mentioned, friends, we are going to get started on today's Daily Collective. As I mentioned, if you would like, I know it is such a good movie. If you would like to get on the list is open. 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Danae, thank you for getting on the list today. You'll be the first person read for. You'll also have an additional card in your reading. If anybody else wants to get on the list, you'll be the second person read for. Also, if you're on the hold list and would like to be added back to the list, all I need you to do is let me know the date that you were added to the hold list. I'll be happy to add you back as well. I will also point out, as I mentioned, friends, our list is not going to be as long as it typically is. So if you would like to get on the list, I would encourage you to do so sooner rather than later. That said, we're about to get started on today's Daily Collective. But before we do so, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got a cat. Thank you guys so much for doing that. We'll do that again after the next reading. And if you guys could do me a favor and share this live, I would appreciate it. Make sure anyone who'd like to catch this reading live is here to receive it. Also, please remember, friends, we're doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a free reading for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the Daily Collective read. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure you're tapping that screen when we get to 50K in no time. Kath, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. And just a reminder to those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also get on the list via my tree that has links in it in my bio. And your paid membership there entitle you to the subscriber benefits that I've listed. So the discounted rate on readings as well as the free card each day. Excellent. All right, my friends, that said, no better time than the present. Why don't we get started? Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grace Draga, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, May 25th, 2026. We are going to be doing a masculine, feminine, non-binary energy update today. We are going to be starting right now with our masculine energy. Masculine energy, I'm feeling inclined to start our reading today with the Tarot of the Divine. So can I please get 3 cards, please? Highest priority messages. What do we got coming through? 1, 2, 3. Beginning our day today with the 8 of Cups in its upright, in combination with the 4 of Wands in its upright, in combination with the Knight of Wands in its upright. So there's something I'm seeing here that's very important as it relates to the word that's coming through right now is absorbing. Right? It's absorbing information, or it's a work that we do. It's a work that we do effectively recognize or identify um, something that we ourselves may not have been able to see from a point of clarity, is what I'm getting. And there's something very significant and important there. And the conversation that I see that's potentially happening for some of the masculine energy, that for a majority, like a lot of the masculine energy that's doing this work, is understanding. And this is really, there's something very important to be said with the ability to recognize and navigate um, the experience, the observation of the experience, that the experience that one, like, there's a lot to be said with the recognition of the difference between what it feels like to walk in the room as the self, um instead, right, instead of the state or nature by which we are someone else. And there's something very valuable and important about that, because the observation of effectively working through something, but not just working through something, but the observation by which we effectively understand or navigate situations and circumstances with a sense or state of empathy, allows our own ability to recognize that that is often the shape and nature of the love that we have returned back to us, right? Because it's working into the context of what it means to build into healthy expectations. And when we're working empathetically, then we don't work energetically directionally, because, and this is what we identify. You'll often see this because those who, when it's like, you have to understand, the universe is very generous. So it's like, if you see everything as a power struggle, so you will exist in a state of perpetual power struggle, because there is the self, like, articulating energetic demands without energetic empathy, and then in the space by which others receive it, right, it's like you create the conditions by which you expect and anticipate struggle, and so it will be, right, because you don't understand the force by which you yourself, right, when you're working directively, you're not energetically working sensitively. So it's often that modality or the experience by which one is able to identify or articulate the shape and nature of things. We often see that this is how another individual often moves into a deeply egoic state, because it's the self-fulfilling prophecy, right? It's the self-fulfilling prophecy of the struggle that we create around ourselves when we feel that everything, right, when we feel that everything is about being in the space of identifying what feels energetically fortifying or empowering, but rather, and this is what's beautiful about it, right, the state by which one starts to allow compassion in, right, the state or nature by which we start taking those loving approaches to things, that is the modality or the force by which everything energetically begins. So we see that for a lot of the energy doing that work, I think it's interesting, because I almost feel like, I think in a way it's beautiful, because I feel like, in a way, what I'm reading here is like a conversation with masculine and masculine, like masculine to masculine, like working into the context of what we do, right? What we do when we identify that we have a modicum of control over things. Because who you become, right? Who you become when you have a modicum of control over things tells you everything you need to know about the shape and value of one's own heart space, right? Because it's the identification point by which one effectively works, right? It's the identification point by which one works energetically sensitively, that articulates and amplifies what feels, right? What feels like it's something that is energetically productive. So I think that there's something really lovely about this, particularly with that Eight of Wands, with the Four of Wands, and the Knight of Wands in its upright, because Um, it's the conversation, right? It's the amplification and the conversation that potentially evolves or arrives in the modality of being able to understand that when we are living, right, when we are living fully, right, we never become desensitized. When we are living in our fullest capacity, we energetically feel more, not less. But in order to feel more, we have to go through, right? We have to go through the important work of allowing the expression of energetic sensitivity, particularly as it relates to the modality or the experience by which we're putting others under a state of duress. Now, continuing on this, reading into feminine energy, can I please get 3 cards for feminine, please? 3 cards for feminine. And we're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego right now for feminine. 2, 3. We've got the 7 of Wands in its upright. Ooh, we got a transverse. We got something that moved transverse. The Emperor in its upright. And it's interesting because the Magician was in its upright, but then it moves into its transverse. So bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. I feel like there's something. I feel like there's something really important that we're identifying with a lot of the feminine energy right now, as it relates, um, to, and I want to describe this, right? Like this is, and I want to point this out, the illusion, right? The energetic illusion that feminine feels that they often have to navigate in terms of what feminine, what other energy, like what egoic energy thinks that another person is looking for, versus what feminine is actually in the space of desiring, right? And this is the thing about it. I feel like there's a lot of feminine energy that is feeling exhausted with energy that is not feminine, trying to dictate to feminine what feminine desires. Because you have to understand, someone too deep in their egoic state basically creates an echo chamber, right? So there you have energy that's deep within the ego that is working in the echo chamber. And even in the context by which they effectively articulate it, it's basically the conversation by which they're speaking to themselves, right? Because when another person is too anxious or vulnerable to ask questions, right? When they're too vulnerable to ask questions, they make effectively fools based upon their assumptions, right? So this is often what happens, and I keep on getting like, for feminine energy, being exhausted on the egoic echo chamber that is often created by energy that is too afraid to do the vital work of vulnerability, to understand what another person's needs are, the simple act of asking, right? That instead tries to articulate the space of being, right? There's somebody deep in their ego that claims to be an energetic authority on what another person needs, having never asked that energy what they wanted in their entire life, right? Like in their entire life. Have you ever, like, in their entire life, being like, I'm an authority on this subject? You'd be like, have you ever talked to somebody? Have you ever talked to? No, but I'm an authority on it. I've studied it heavily. Being like, but have you talked to someone? Right? Because this is the difference. This is the difference between authoritative and firsthand, right? And the thing about it is, when one is working, patiently, then one works into a deeper sense, alignment and combinement, right? Alignment and combinement, which is the space by which when one is trying to do something effectively, one does everything one can to be as receptive as possible in order to then allow the space by which one is able to effectively take the necessary steps. And so I feel like for a lot of the energy, potentially working through experiences or situations like that, that observation, right? That observation of working considerately, right? I keep on hearing, like, I feel like it's the energy that says you can do both at once, right? Like you can effectively, when you are, and like that's what I keep on getting, the sound of good leadership. It's interesting because I just keep on hearing the word leadership coming through, and it's understanding. And I want to point out that there's something important that you have to understand, because when you think about the word leadership, I want you to understand that lead used to mean leash, right? So you have to understand that the quality of leadership is not about always being in the front. It's understanding the best place to position oneself, which is sometimes, right? Sometimes that's why you got ship, which is be in the front. Sometimes it be in the back, right? Because it's understanding. When you understand the quality of leadership is not me first, but me best, right? It's not about me first, but it's me best. It's trying to effectively identify or articulate what would be energetically best in situations. Then you understand, right? When you understand the modality that leadership is effectively someone who understands placement, right? Like it's a placement issue. Then everything, right? Everything expands, everything changes. But this is often what happens when somebody is too much egoic. They'll move into leadership and they'll think that leadership has something to do with control, right? Rather than position, right? It's a locational situation. So it's the modality by which one is able to understand and identify that when you're working, right? Like I want to point out, sometimes you'll say like the best leader and be like, where are they? And they'll be like, they're over there, right? Because it's the modality by which leadership does not require centering. That's how you know it's true leadership, right? It's the modality or the experience by which one is able to energetically place the self, that it is of the utmost importance, because that is what a true leader does. A true leader works compassionately. So I feel like there's something energetically important there, which is why we saw the magician moving in its transverse. And I feel like there's something about that in relationality to moving into the context of communication. And I feel like this is almost the feminine energy articulating, like this is a feminine energy almost articulating that their grandest, like their grandest desire that they aspire for with counterpart is someone that is perpetually in consideration, which is the modality by which they articulate upon something with consideration of the energetic feelings of those that they're effectively moving as ambassador for. Now, this brings us to the non-binary energy. Non-binary energy, can I get 3 cards, please? And we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck for non-binary today. 3 cards. Headspace. One more. Come on. Oh, 4. Oh, wow. Okay, so I was trying to do 3, and then a 4th one jumped out of the Tarot del Fuego. So we got 4 cards for non-binary. And the 4th card that jumped out from the non-binary space was the Star card. Okay. All right. Let's just leave that there for a minute. And I feel like it's something important because it talks about, I think that there's something important. Like the thing you have to understand, right? When you're working into, and this is usually the way you can tell, the way you can usually tell the difference between what bothers and what hurts. Like if you want to find out real quick if somebody's in their egoic state or not, is seeing somebody complaining about something that has absolutely no impact or effect on their life whatsoever. Right? Like there you see somebody just twisting themselves up in a knot, and being like, why y'all twisted up in a knot? And being like, just get under my skin. And being like, how is that hurting you? How is that bothering you? Right? Because, and here's the thing about it. The things that bother us tell others more about us than we could possibly conceive. The things that bother us, tell others more about us than we can possibly conceive, which it says, be very wary about what concerns you. Okay. Because there is the space by which your shadow work lies. And because and you have to understand, and it's funny too, because it's like the space by which you understand that when something bothers you, then there should be a very good reason for it to bother you, right? Literally being like, it's not okay. Why? Okay, I'll be very happy to talk about it, right? When something is truly a standard, you'll be delighted to talk about it. You'll be like very eager. You'll be like, oh, because like that's like you hear the choir, right? You hear the choir because you go, it's not, the choir goes, it's not right. Right? It's not right. But it's not right because there's a song attached to it, right? There's experiences and conversations that allow the ability to communicate upon what is energetically important, right? And the ability to amplify or articulate upon something is how we effectively are able to do it even more, right? And so, and I keep on hearing the space by which we honor things is the space by which we wrap our arms fully around the entire embodiment of something, right? We carry the whole shape of it, because when you're holding something completely, then you're able to allow and recognize what needs to change or be better. But there you see, right? There you'll often see somebody. I haven't even drawn the rest of the cards yet. There you'll see somebody all twisted up about something, right? There you'll see somebody all twisted up about something, and then you'll be like, "Can I ask you a very important question? What? How does that bother? How does that affect you? What? How does that affect you?" Right? And then they get, what do they get? They get tongue tied, right? But it's not, you can't just say, right? And this is why you say, you can't just say you don't like it. You have to explain the reason why, because when something is a true standard, there's an explanation behind it. If not, there's some shadow work that needs to be done. There's something about your soul that you have not energetically cleansed, right? Because that's the understanding of the power of, again, and this is why we explore the uncomfortable. We explore we don't explore the uncomfortable to desensitize. We explore the uncomfortable to understand. We explore the uncomfortable to understand the nature of our discomfort, because what exists, there's two different things that live in our discomfort. Okay, there's either something that we're deeply uncomfortable because there is a standard there that needs to be addressed, something that is deeply uncomfortable that needs to be energetically addressed, or, right, or there's something that we're not looking at. There's something that we can't see. There's something that needs to be energetically clarified or healed to a certain experience. So we see that for a lot of that energy working through working through those possibilities, right? And it's not, right? It's not minor, it's major. It's not minor, it's major, because that is effectively the ability, right? The ability to articulate and try to do something in a way by which we've never done it before. And that observation of effectively, right? That observation of taking energetic approaches to things, working through things, right? Working through things with a sense of determination and a sense of and the observation. What we effectively see that's occurring there is modalities or experiences by which we identify and recognize things that are not easy, right? Things that are not easy, but it's not about easement. It's about working into the context of understanding things in ways that are profound and unexpected. So I feel like this is a lot of like, and I want to describe this here for a lot of the energy, right? For a lot of the energy working through this, especially with these cards. I'll show you this Queen of Pentacles, this Page of Cups in its reversal, the Three of Pentacles in its reversal, right? The understanding and the understanding and the conversation that we often have in relationality to trying to do something in the best way possible, right? You know, there you'll see. And I think that the beautiful thing about this is, for a lot of that energy, the recognition and the understanding that when we care about each other, right? When we care about each other, we help each other as much as possible but we don't energetically expect our hands to be held, which is the modality by which we do something, right? We do something to the best, we do something to the absolute best of our ability. And then even in the context by which we're trying to do something to the best of our ability, we understand and recognize how, like, what we can do even further, but not into the space by which we're energetically expecting another to exhaust themselves in the process of working towards things, right? It's the gentleness that we amplify and articulate in relationality to what it is we're trying to do, that allow us to have the relationships, right? We build into relationships that are built from mutual gratitude. And so for a lot of that energy, the thing I keep on seeing is these are the relationships that hold each other lovingly, specifically and particularly because it's the observation or the understanding of the state or nature by which I keep on getting they're exceptional because there are no exceptions, is what I keep on hearing, right? The energy that's exceptional because there are no exceptions is the modality by which one works into the state or nature of trying to identify and recognize taking holistic approaches to circumstances and situations. So I feel like there's something important there, because I feel like for a lot of the energy, that observation, right? And I keep on seeing it's hard because, and I just want to show you this, like this is almost like this is where they see others, right? This is where they often see others perpetually, right? And this is where they themselves are, which is often like it's almost like feeling like, the best way I can describe it is far, it's like feeling farsighted or feeling energetically far away from something, because one is able to identify and recognize the full shape of the energetic interactions that are occurring, right? And so it's almost like, I feel like for a lot of the energy working through that, it feels comprehensive, specifically and particularly because um like it's giving me a lot of like working into the understanding of being able to see the full tableau of things, but also in the space by which one is able to see the full tableau of things, one is able to have a very clear assessment in terms of what is energetically needed in circumstances or experiences. Continuing to get clarification, moving back into the masculine energy, and three cards for masculine right now. We're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego for masculine right now. 1, 2, 3. Queen of Cups in its upright. Justice card in its reversal. And the Hermit card in its upright. Wow, that's some intense energy. And this is actually, I'm going to tell you right now, this is exactly what we see astrologically, because this is Venus in Cancer and Jupiter in Cancer to a certain extent. And the way I'm perceiving this to a certain extent is, and I have to point this out, um there's something very important that I feel like I see um masculine energy working through right now, um, as it relates to um, circumstances and experiences um, by which we articulate or identify, um, by which we articulate and identify um, the state or nature of of openness, right? And here's the thing about here's the thing about openness. Like the openness that we work upon is often the openness that we find, right? So, and you'll often see this, and healthy masculine energy understands this fully, which is feminine energy, right? Feminine energy or is very good at pattern recognition. Feminine energy, when we articulate, often the space, like I can't even tell you, like the space by which someone says, like, don't, like when another person says, you know, don't lie, that there's often the space by which another person understands the quality by which the openness, like feminine and energy, is often working into the space by which the nature or the space by which another person does not energetically reveal something, right? Or works into the space by which it's the amplification of effectively understanding and recognizing or articulating upon things as fully as one can expect. So we see that for a lot of the energy working through that, there's something important that I feel like is happening as it relates to the communication that often occurs in terms, like, and we often talk about this, the state or space by which we avoid hard conversations, or the space by which we energetically avoid things. Like when we avoid things, they build up and they energetically accumulate. And what happens is they have a detrimental impact on our own relationships, because there you'll see, there you'll see, there you'll see a masculine energy that is not inclined to talk about something. And in the space by which they're not talking, one becomes closed off. In the space by which you become closed off, another person can feel, right? They can feel the runoff of you effectively become, and that's why it feels like runoff, because you can be present with someone and not there, right? You can be present with someone and a million miles away. So the observation of between being the difference between being fully present in an experience, right? In the observation of effectively being able to build forth in that way, you know, as opposed to situations or circumstances wherein, right, there isn't that full breadth of clarity, or there isn't that full breadth of openness. What we effectively see and evaluate is that's a lot of the masculine energy that's potentially allowing the context of wisdom to arrive. And I feel like it's interesting because the wisdom that I see that a lot of the masculine energy is working through is built or based upon the responsibility that one often holds in the observation of doing the hard work to be vulnerable, right? Because I keep on seeing for a lot of masculine energy, having to carry the I keep on hearing having to carry the wound of Chiron, which is a moment by which the opportunity energetically presented itself to be in one's authenticity, right? The space by which it's not just the fact that one isn't, but the space by which the opportunity exists to be fully forthright, right? And the step by which one walks away from it instead of towards it is often, like what I often see is often what happens in the space by which we carry, like it's a space by which masculine often carries that wound for the rest of their energetic lives, because it's the observation or the understanding of I keep on hearing it's often the energy by which they understand or feel the fact that they let themselves down, and in the context by which they let themselves down, they let down the energy all around them in the state or in the discovery of working through a lot of that capacity. So we see that for a lot of the energy, doing that work, right? That observation, like working into the context of being able to identify or build into a point of clarity. And this is often what happens when we're not coming into the space of healing, because when we don't articulate that things occur, they energetically fester within us, right? They feel like they effectively build up. So for a lot of the energy potentially working through that, I feel like there's something, I feel like there's something very important in the space by which another is effectively articulating or amplifying like one's own, like it's giving me the energy of someone who's articulating or amplifying, you know, the space or the condition by which one is able to articulate, like, and this is what we talk about, like when we're able to fully understand and embody our lessons, it often amplifies the conversation upon what one could, what one should do, right? What one can do. And even in the space by which one is able to do that, like even in that way, we see that there's the ability to energetically, the ability to energetically cleanse and purify situations, because that is working into the context of being able to facilitate bringing positive experiences from negative ones, right? This is the messy work that we do in healing, because often the journey of healing is via the revealing our own energetic, like missteps or our own energetic faults. So I feel like it's hard though, because for a lot of the energy doing that, it's like it feels, it feels very, it feels very granular, but it's also like it feels very important. Now moving back towards feminine, for feminine energy, we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. 3 cards, please. And one more. We've got the 5 of Wands in its upright, the Judgment card in its reversal, and the 9 of Pentacles in its upright. So what are we effectively identifying with those cards? What we're basically seeing, with a lot of those cards right now is, and I want to describe this, there's something, I feel like there's something really important that I see that's occurring right now, um, particularly in the observation or the understanding of working into the context of working into the context of what it takes to make situations like, and it's giving me a lot of like, when one is working foundationally, one is trying to leave things better than they found them, is all I keep on hearing. And I think that there's something really important about that, because the space or the nature by which we try to leave things better than we found them is often the articulation or the amplification of doing something, right? It's not, I keep on hearing, it's not, it's not selfless. It's actually, it's, and I want to describe this, like, that is effectively being able to understand and identify the energetic landscape by which we effectively create, right? And I like to describe that, um, to a certain extent, one can almost like you can almost perceive that, like there's a space by which we recognize or work through things that allows the context by which one is able to articulate one's comfortability with things, or the understanding of when one is trying to create something energetically supportive. It requires mutual effort, right? And the understanding, and this is often, right, this is often what we see in relationality to working through things mutually, which is mutuality is not, is not demanding, right? Mutuality is not demanding. It's energetically, it's working through sympathy, right? And the thing you have to understand, and I want to describe, like, the thing you have to understand with the difference between compassion and sympathy is compassion is the observation and the ability to effectively apply a force of energy towards something, right? It's the work that we do to effectively amplify. It's the work that we do to energetically put things forward, right? It's literally like they're like most energy, right? Energy, there's nobody needs sympathy. Everybody needs compassion. Okay? And I want to describe this. Nobody needs sympathy. Everybody needs compassion, right? Because like sympathy, right? Sympathy is stagnation, right? Sympathy is stagnation. Compassion is action. And so I feel like there's something very important there because I almost feel like it's a feminine saying, if you feel compassionate, show me your hands, right? And why is feminine saying, if you are feeling compassionate, show me your hands? Because it says, where are your hands right now, right? What are they doing? Where are they moving something? Are they lifting something? Are they addressing something? Right? Or are you holding your own hands? Because the modality by which another person tries to articulate that they have sympathy, and then they say, oh, I feel real bad that that's happening to you. Oh, that's good. Are you going to do something? I'm going to hold my own hands through it, right? Like look at the sympathy in action. Look at the inactivity in action. When another person articulates and goes, can you imagine situations by which another person literally, like the other person understanding, saying somebody is in energetic danger, something is needed, this and this and this. What are you doing? Oh, I'm doing everything I can. I'm holding my hands on it. I'm holding my own hands on it, right? The modality and the situation by which we understand that when we are actually in the act of putting love into the world, our hands are full. They're not full of themselves. It's the modality by which we effectively apply them to things that allow things to be done, right? It is the effort by which we effectively bring into things that allow them to occur. So I feel like this is a lot of the feminine energy that is sick to death over energy that claims sympathy on things and yet doesn't do energetically anything, because it's easy to energetically sympathize. It's 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 miraculous to actually do something about. Continuing to get clarification and moving us back into the non-binary energy. And we're going to be using for the heart space of non-binary right now, we're going to be utilizing the Tarot of the Divine. 3 cards, please. 3 cards, please. 1, 2, 3. We've got here the 10 of Coins in its reversal, the Ace of Swords in its reversal, and the 10 of Cups in its reversal. So we've got double tens right now in the non-binary space. So let's walk through what we're seeing here. And the thing about it that I'm seeing, like the observation and the work that one does, the observation of the work that one does in relationality to navigating situations or circumstances, I just keep on seeing that the conversation, right? The conversation about being within one's authenticity is the modality or the experience by which we are able to navigate or articulate to others the state or nature by which we feel energetic expression as it relates to healthy, like what feels supportive or allows the ability to articulate upon an energetic conversation. And I keep on getting that this is very important, because the difference between, like, the desire to energetically expand or explain is often in the space by which we identify an energetic meeting point. And I keep on getting a healthy conversation is a meeting of the minds, right? A healthy conversation is a meeting of the minds, which is the modality of understanding that when we are working towards things, then the ability to energetically communicate is the space by which, and again, this is coming into, right? This is the space by which we're coming into working through those strength relationships, the space by which we can't hold things sacredly. We have to effectively do the heavy lifting in helping to effectively communicate upon something. However, there's a difference, right? And I feel like this is often, right? This is often the work that we see that the energy has to navigate through, right? The understanding of someone potentially desiring to have a meeting of the minds, rather rather than working through someone trying to energetically argue. And it's interesting too, because even as I'm articulating this, and it's also interesting because as soon as we start to talk about these things, we start to see reactivity arriving. But the modality by which you understand that, when we articulate, and I keep on hearing this, when we articulate about ourselves, it should broach no argument, right? When one is in the act of articulating upon the self, it's not an argument zone. It's not the space by which another person can disagree. And often in the modality by which you're trying, have you ever had an experience, right? That's somebody negating you, right? So in the modality, right? In the modality, having to have an experience, like literally imagining a world where you have an experience where someone articulates and says, tell me a bit about you, and you articulate upon you, and someone goes, I don't agree, right? Being like, okay, so all you're saying is you're literally trying to negate another person's experience. You're not, there are things that you can't agree with, right? You can't agree on your topic on whether you like a book. You can agree, you can choose not to agree about the topic of a movie, whether you liked it or not, but not people. Right? Not people, not people. Because when another person is in the act of revealing themselves to you, and another person articulates upon the fact that they don't agree, right? They don't agree with the ability of another person energetically communicating upon who they are, then all that person is doing is negating another person's experience. So you have to hold nuance, right? Because it's not the space. Like, you can agree with many, you can disagree, right? You can disagree with many different things, right? You can disagree with many, 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 many different things, but not people, not people, not people. Because when all you do, right, when another person is articulating their authenticity, and then you articulate to another person and say, I don't disagree, all you're saying is, I'm negating, right? I'm energetically negating your experience, right? We have a history of that. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a history of energy trying to negate the existence of other people. It never ends well. Okay, it never ends well. And that's how it starts, right? That's how it starts. It's the energy going, oh, I'm just not inclined to believe that's a real thing. Oh, you were here first. I'm not inclined to believe that. Oh, this is yours. I'm not inclined to believe that, right? The authenticity, when we identify the authenticity, it's the work by which we understand and we desire to energetically learn more, which is saying, show me, right? Show me more about that, right? Articulate upon it, reveal, right? The only word that you should articulate is say reveal, show further, right? And in that space, right? That articulation, then we come to understand each other more. So I feel like there's something very significant and important about that, because I feel like for a lot of the energy, right? Like, I feel like that's some energy that often works into the context of articulating and identifying the type of relationship that they're energetically ready to entertain. And this is why one often articulates that you don't need to be present for every conversation. You don't need to be in a conversation that tries to negate your experience, right? Like, that's not a place you need to be. And that's different than a meeting of the minds. Continuing to get clarification, moving back into masculine energy, and we're going to be utilizing three cards, please. Three cards. And we're going to be utilizing the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. Three cards, please. Two, three. Thank you. We've got the Four of Wands in its upright. We've got the Knight of Pentacles in its reversal. And we've got the Queen of Wands in its reversal. And so there's something really important about this that I'm identifying in relationality to, and I think that this is really important that we're potentially perceiving as it relates to masculine energy working into the identification and the context of identifying and recognizing the state and nature by which we are able to energetically define what we ourselves feel energetically, like energetically stable upon. And what I'm basically identifying here, and I want to, and you have to understand this, right? Because when we are working into the observation and the context of healing, then it is the ability and the experience through which we are able to it's and I want to understand and it's interesting too because I basically I was like trying to read and all I hear is I want to understand, right? Like I was literally about to read and the words I want to understand just flew out of my mouth. Okay. And that right, that is the sound of love, right there, right? The desire to understand further is the cradle by which love is held, because the space or the nature by which we identify or articulate is working through, right, the working through the bounds of our own perception, right? And it's understanding, right? It's understanding each other's journeys, and in the modality by which, and you'll often see this, okay, because there is, right, there is the energetic fallacy that we often create in our own state of being, which is the identification point on what something seems like from the outside, right? The perception that we hold in terms of a situation or experience, right? The work that we do that often, and you have to understand this. This is why we don't assume things, because perception is faulty. And there are those, like, and you'll understand this, right? There are those that are consumed. There are literally those that are consumed with building faulty perceptions. All right. And when you understand that when somebody who is deeply in their egoic state will be absolutely, they'll abandon a manifestation goal, right? When you understand that the sound of someone who is deep within their egoic state to the point of no return will literally abandon healthy manifestation goals to create false perceptions, then it helps you understand why this work is so important. Because once you move in that space, you become energetically trapped there. Okay? Because that's when everything feels, right? It's not like you're believing the illusion of the conflict that you're creating around yourself, because the universe is very loving. If you ask for things, it will give them to you. So if you absolutely convince yourself that the world is out to be against you, then so it will be, because you are being adversarial around everything and anything around you, right? Where is the coming from? Okay. Where is it coming from? Right? Whereas, contrarily, significantly, right, the ability to transform things into love at every opportunity, right? The ability to transform things into love at every moment is energetically available to us. And that is not something that one does qualitatively, right? That's not what one does. You don't remunerate when you're doing something loving. You just do it because here's a crazy concept, right? Why'd you do that? To bring more love into the world, right? Why'd you do that? Because, like, oh my gosh, what did you do? Oh, just working in the service of love, right? There's something to be said about that. What has every great person that's ever lived done? Who have they worked for? They've worked in the service of love, right? And the thing about it is, it often feels thankless, and that's why it's energetically blessed, right? It often feels thankless, but that's why it's blessed, because, right? There's no higher manifestation goal. There's no higher manifestation goal. But the only way we get there, right, is if we stop worrying so much about what another person thinks about the things we're doing, and just do things out of a state of perfect love and perfect trust, right? What if I told you? What if I told you there's no loneliness epidemic, but start letting love guide you, right? Start letting love light the way. If you're looking for love, start being the force of love in your experience, and see if that changes everything. It doesn't have to be a lot, right? A little bit every day, just a little bit of love here, a little bit, a random act of kindness, random act of kindness. Just a little bit. Just try it. Just see if it changes anything. Just a wild concept. Just drop a little bit of that random act of kindness somewhere, and see if it starts to change something, right? Because if you say, this is the problem with it. If you say, I'm mad because I can't find my person, being like, we don't own people, right? If you say you can't find my person, you're literally saying, I'm looking for a person to own. If you say, I'm looking for love, start creating love. Start creating love and see where that gets you, right? Start creating love and see if it changes things. So I feel like that's a lot of the work that I see some energy doing, which is saying, in order to fix this, right? It's not confronting. It's not confronting the loneliness. It's expanding upon the love. It's creating it around us. It's creating the environment by which we allow love to find us. And the way that we find it is by the way you find love is by creating it all around you. And as soon as you start creating love all around you, see what comes to you. While for feminine, 3 cards for feminine, please. And we're going to be utilizing the Tarot of the Divine. 3 cards, please. We've got the 7 of Wands in its upright, the 6 of Coins in its upright, and we have the Ace of Cups in its upright. So what are we effectively identifying there? I'm seeing that for a lot of this energy, the one thing I'm perceiving for a lot of this energy, and the one thing I keep on getting is, I don't know what, I'm getting a little bit of this like back off energy on, or like in the unconscious of feminine. And the way I keep on getting this, and the thing I keep on seeing is, and it's like, I know it's going to seem a little weird because I'm like reading into the energy. My arms are going like this. So I need to explain what I'm seeing. Like me trying to read into the energy. But you have to understand, and I need to point this out. When we care about each other, we give each other space to do what we need to do, is what I keep on getting. Love is shelter. is what I keep on getting. Love is shelter in terms of being able to give someone the space they need in order to energetically do something. And it's interesting too, because like I keep on trying to read into feminine, and like my arm is locked like this as the other one is energetically loose, because it's the modality by which when we care about someone, we shield them from things, right? Like that's what we do. Like that's the work that we often do, which is the amplification of love. Like love acts as healthy shield. And this is why, like this is often why you'll see, like when you understand that the most loving force of feminine that you ever meet will probably have a back full of arrows, right? When you understand that often the most loving feminine energy you'll ever meet is literally probably walking around with a back full of arrows, because that's the work that often feminine does, the full expanse of feminine energy that's often navigating, right? Is navigating the slings and arrows perpetually, right? And then someone saying to them, "Are you okay?" Being like, "Yeah, it's nothing," right? "No, it's fine." Right? That is the force or the power by which often feminine works through things, because that's the feminine that understands that when we're working through things well, right? When we truly love, sometimes nobody knows. Like sometimes the work that we do to heal is the understanding of the recognition of working to protect others from those experiences, because we identify that we effectively are working or acting as energetic shield upon things. And it's never easy, right? It's never easy, but the space by which we understand that we're perpetually, like when we're working carefully, one is perpetually, like the sound of love occurring is perpetually working as a perfect shield. Then it's the space by which we understand that often the greatest gift you can give feminine is rest, right? That often the greatest gift that feminine has is the opportunity to energetically rest, because it's the modality or the understanding of recognizing all, like I keep wondering, all of the energetic work that feminine is doing every day that often drives into, right? Often drives into the space by which one feels the need to energetically rest more. So I feel like that's a lot of the work by which the energy is potentially articulating. And even in the context by which they're articulating, like I feel like and here's the thing about it. And I want to point out, and I want to show you what's so painful about it, right? When feminine says, "You don't know what I go through," and someone going, "I just don't see it because I don't experience it." And feminine goes, "Exactly," right? That's the sound of feminine working, right? Like that's the Cassandra, right? "You don't know what I go through," and someone going, I've never experienced that." No, you're over exaggerating, because I've never felt it. I've never felt. I know, right? It's a conundrum, isn't it? It's a conundrum. It's a conundrum. All right, let's continue. Moving into non-binary. Three cards, please. Three cards, three cards. Sigh. All right. Three cards. And we're going to be utilizing the Tarot del Fuego. Tarot del Fuego, please. Three cards. All right, what do we got here? One moment. All right, what do we got? Okay, three cards. We've got the Nine of Cups in its upright, the Queen of Swords in its reversal, the Chariot in its upright. All right, so whew, that's some energy. Okay, let's get to it. Got it. Okay, so let's walk through this. Oh Lord. Okay, and I want to point out there's a lot of sword energy. There's a lot of sword energy that I'm seeing in the unconscious of the non-binary. And the thing about it, I also want to point out is, and here's the thing with it, like this Nine of Cups, The Nine of Cups with the Queen of Swords in its reversal. I mean, I kind of like this because, and here's the thing about it. The thing with the Nine of Cups is, and I feel like you have to identify this, which is like, um, there's something really important to navigate because it's a Nine of Cups, but it's a Nine of Cups to me that feels a lot like a Ten of Swords, which is the identification point, which is like when another, like, the thing about it is, I don't know why I keep on getting this from the non-binary space, but I'm just going to articulate it. Why would you throw swords at a Queen of Swords? What have you done? Like, what have you done? It's what I keep on seeing. I just want you to consider that. I just want you to consider that for a minute. Like, and here's the thing about it, right? Like the thing about that, the thing I want to just identify is I just keep on seeing this vision, right? Is like, and this is like when you're throwing swords, like when you're throwing swords at a Queen of Swords, it's like, do you understand what you've like? And this is often what happens. And I feel like there's something about that. There's something about that type of conversation that is happening for non-binary, which is like that it's a conversation that one has that says when another person, right? When another person is trying to egg you on, maybe it's because they're looking for eggs, and this is what we talk like that's why, like, that's honestly, like, that's often the space by which you recognize it, being like, what are you, oh, okay, like, it's the observation of being able, especially when something is abnormal, right? Then you don't get reactive, you get curious, you know you go, that's interesting, I wonder what they're trying to do there, right? Like, oh, okay, if they're egging me on, do they need eggs, right? Like, it's like it's like it's often that space, right? You understand and you identify, right? You understand and you identify the nature, right? Which is like, what a curious thing to say, right? Like, like, I just keep on hearing, what a curious thing to say, right? It's interesting, right? Because when we stop getting reactive, what happens when we stop getting reactive? We get very curious, right? That's what's interesting. Behind your reactivity is genuine curiosity, which is like the space by which if another person comes towards you, right? When another person comes towards you, like like understanding, right? It's the understanding of recognizing what it means when somebody's trying to get something out of you, right? And you'll often notice this because I feel like a lot of this energy has had to heal from some very deep trauma. And the funny thing about having to heal from deep trauma, it's funny because I was about to say trauma, but I said drama because trauma loves drama, right? Because trauma. Trauma will do something awful, and then when another person's being reactive, be like, look, they energetically deserved it because you see how reactive they are, right? They had it coming, right? Literally, the natural response to something that is totally abnormal that trauma will then try to articulate is a reason by which they did something in the first place. That's retroactive, right? So trauma loves nothing more than to try to be retroactive, which is the modality by which they get someone in a state and then being like, oh, look, you see what I was dealing with, recognizing that that person was never in that state prior to the experience by which they were experiencing trauma, right? So trauma tries to explain itself via the abusive causality. So when you understand that trauma tries to explain itself via abusive causality, right? Trying to articulate that the cause and reason of the trauma was why someone was doing something to begin with, but understanding that that was never there when it started, then you get a lot more conscientious in relationality to what you put forth towards someone who's trying to energetically traumatize you. Because it's the understanding that trauma loves nothing more than what rises, right? Trauma absolutely nothing loves nothing more than getting a rise out of things. Because then in the modality by which they get a rise, then there they feel that they've got energetic material to work with. So that's why, again, the work that we do to effectively navigate and recognize that is how we heal. But also, it's the space by which we recognize, right? We put eyes on it, right? It's the observation, right? It's the observation of articulating, being like, it appears that you're trying to get a rise out of me. Isn't that intriguing? Isn't that intriguing information, right? Because even in that, energetic protection. Bottom of the deck, moving through all of the energy, moving back to masculine. Can I get bottom of the deck, please? Mm-hmm. And we're going to be utilizing for masculine energy, bottom of the deck, the, where'd it go? The Smith-Waite Centennial. Oh, there's that 10 of Swords. And this is masculine, understanding that too, right? Masculine, tell me about the time that you were hurt, that you hurt yourself with your own emotions. Masculine, tell me about the time that you allowed those emotions to get the better of you and you destroyed everything. Because the modality or the experience, we don't do things ruefully, we do things truthfully. Because the modality by which we often understand that when we try to hurt others with our emotions, the only person we end up hurting is ourselves, right? When there's no getting back. And often in the space by which we get back, we stab ourselves in the back, right? The modality by which we try to hurt, right? All it does is it isolates. Because in the space or nature, when a masculine energy is in the space by which they lash out in the space of emotionality, everyone steps back. And often the space by which they step back is the energetic fear of ever being able to step forward again, because it's the observation of, like, the fear of the energetic outlash of the emotions that one feels that one does not have energetic control over, right? And it creates a space by which it can create a very, very painful life, because there you are as a masculine looking for love, and all you see around you is fear, right? Fear of the self, fear of what you might possibly do if you were upset. So the modality by which masculine starts to understand that as masculine matures, there's a quality of fear that they experience in every modality, which is the experience of the trauma, right? The collective trauma that's stored by other energy that has experienced pain as it relates to masculine, that has not learned to suppress their wild reactivity, right? This is often why it feels like an extra burden when one is working to heal, because not only are you feeling the work that you're doing to energetically suppress your desire to outlash, but you're experiencing the stored trauma of everyone who has ever experienced a masculine that is not invested in doing that work for themselves. So it makes it doubly hard for the energy that's working in that way. But in that way, it's also doubly blessed. I'm going to say it again. Doubly hard, doubly blessed. Feminine, Tarot del Fuego, bottom of the deck. 8 of Swords. 8 of Swords, and it's upright. And again, I want to point out, this is why there is no such thing as I had a right to, right? Because all you say in terms of I had a right to is you allow trauma to continue, right? There you'll see, right? And this is the thing about it. I know it's the most painful thing ever. You experience the sound of healing a wound is having to go right back to the space by which you were hurt in the first place. It's the most unfair. It's the most unfair experience to have to navigate situations by which the only way to heal trust, right? The only way to heal trust is having to go right back into the space by which trust was broken, right? The space by which one effectively feels works through the understanding or the recognition of experiencing those circumstances. And even in the context by which one does, right? One is able to identify or understand more. I feel like one of the things that I see that a lot of the feminine energy is working upon doing is being able to articulate and amplify upon the hurt more, right? Because, and I want to describe this, the space by which one is able to articulate or express how one feels, right, allows the space by which something can energetically heal. And it's hard, right? Because I feel like for a lot of the energy, potentially doing that work, it often creates, like, I can feel like it often creates the space that goes, like, I almost hear the comment going, better I suppress it. Suppressing is not healthy, right? It's not the space by which one suppresses. It's a healthy way. It's finding healthy ways to express, right? So making sure that one is working into the context by which one is able to energetically communicate upon how one feels in order to energetically heal it. Well, bottom of the deck, and I know that that's like, I keep on getting, it feels like it's like, and I want to point out, like, this is like, I want to show you this card so you can understand. Like, I understand that that's not easy, but that's also like, that is also the space by which everything changes, because when we're able to articulate or amplify upon it, we give others the ability, right? We give others the ability to um to re like to reassess or to understand, right? And we articulate upon, one articulates upon what is effectively better, or a better way to energetically address it. While for non-binary energy, bottom of the deck, we got the three of coins, and it's up. And I'm sorry, I love, this is like my favorite three of coins out of any deck, because like, it's like I always, like, whenever I see this three of coins, I just picture someone like like banging a pot and pan, going, "I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear what you're saying about me not existing. I'm too busy expressing myself." Right? It's almost like the energy going, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't hear. I can't hear the thing. I can't hear you telling me I don't exist. I can't hear you telling me I don't exist. It's too loud in here. I can't hear you. I'm too busy expressing myself. You got to talk up. I don't like, I don't exist." Like, I hear the energy going, "I don't exist. I can't hear you. I'm sorry. All of this existing. It's just too loud in here." Right? It's like, it's a lot of that type of energy, which is like, it's working into the absurdity, right? It's like, there you are, like, there you are living, right? Like, there you are simply being, and another energy tries to negate your experience, and you don't, like, here's the thing about it, you don't argue, right? You don't argue with someone, like, there's nothing sillier than arguing with someone that insists that you don't exist, right? There's nothing sillier, right? There's nothing sillier than arguing with someone that insists that you don't exist. Just continue to exist. Just continue, like, ta-da! Like, it's just like the energy being like, it's like you don't argue about the existence of things. You just exist. You just exist. let your existence Let your existence be the argument. I feel like that's like, I feel like that's what the nature of the conversation is. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. And just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it's a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I'd encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who participated in our recent class. We have the class, if you missed the class, it's up already, on the Court of Pentacles. Our next class will be held on Thursday, June 18th at 6 p.m. PST, 5:30 p.m. PST, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the aces. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best impact moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. I also want to let you guys know that even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule and my mystic meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing in the cards over the based upon the lunation cycles. I just wrote one recently on this new moon that we've experienced. I'll be having one shortly out on the full moon we've got coming up. Finally, I want you guys to know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or biweekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I also want to let you guys know as well. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. And we will do this again tomorrow. Thank you guys so much. We've reached the conclusion of our reads. Congratulations to Fun Size. Thank you so much for those gifts. I appreciate you. You will be getting a free reading today. And Kath, you came in second, so you will have an additional card in your reading. If anybody else would like to get on the list today, I'm probably taking, what time is it? I will take potentially maybe one or two more people on the list before the list will be closed today. If you would like to get on the list, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Thanks to my Lio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also going to be doing a giveaway today on the Clock app when we get to 50K likes. Well, we are at 50K. Thank you guys so much for helping us get to 50K. We're going to be doing that giveaway right now. I appreciate you guys as well. I am going to take a moment before we do the giveaway to read over some of the comments that came through as it was reading. All right, just bear with me a moment. Excellent. All right. And how are you doing today? Disassociation versus trauma healing leads to being more fully engaged. Well, obviously, I mean, like, listen, the one thing we have to recognize is there's nothing healing about disassociating, right? And I like to point out, disassociating is sometimes necessary in the moment by which we're navigating extreme trauma, but the ability to come out of a disassociated state allows us to be able to fully integrate something that has occurred. Absolutely. I know. I love the Coral 2 avatar. It's so beautiful. And thank you so much for those lovely gifts, Fun Size. Looking forward to our reading. And thank you, Heather, for those heart me's. Absolutely. Um, Spam, I can definitely try to connect to those in spirit. Often when I read into spirit, it's a little bit different than the way others do. I practice a consent mindset. So it's often based upon their own eagerness to communicate, but I can usually articulate to you where they are in spirit in relationality to their journey and path work. I always like to articulate that because the way I read into spirit is a little bit different than you might encounter with someone who is what identifiably more of an evidential medium. So I hope that helps. How are you doing today, Spam? Thank you as well, Kathy, for being here and receiving these messages. How are you doing today, Immortal? So in terms of, so we weren't doing Immortal, we weren't doing an astrological reading today. What we were effectively doing today was we'll probably the next time we come on live, we'll be doing an tarot astrology. So if you come back tomorrow, we'll be doing all of the signs. Absolutely. I hope that helps. And thank you for your question. I'm not gonna. I can't do that to the mic, Jeffrey. This is actually necessary because if not, this mic is so sensitive that without this cover, the sound would not be something that would be one that you'd want to hear. Okay. And just bear with me a moment. Excellent. Amar, I'm happy to read for you if you'd like to get on the list. List is open. It is 3 cards for 29 for non-subscribers. And you can find the link to get on the list via my bio. How are you doing today, Sina? I hope you're having a beautiful day. Thank you for the compliment, Dell. I appreciate you. And how you doing today, David? How you doing today, Vino? Okay. All right. Excellent. And Grand Rising Light. Excellent. All right. That's so accurate. Thank you, Nikki, for receiving these messages. If you love someone, let them sleep. I love that, Avatar. Absolutely. Hi there, Blue Virgo. Good to see you, dear. Hope you're having a lovely day. Thank you for stopping by. It's been a minute. Absolutely. And guys, please thank our mod K Megan for all of their help today. Deeply appreciated. Rebecca, I'm happy to read for you on that. If you'd like to get on the list, list is open. You will be the 4th person read for. And I'm sending you a lot of support on that journey. Thank you as well for receiving this message, Fox Mama. How you doing today, Sammy? Good to see you, Dada, Alexandra, and thank you, Fun Size, for that gift. I've got you on the list. Absolutely. Excellent. Welcome, dear. Hi, Nicole. How you doing today? Absolutely. I feel like Carly, I feel like I'm healing and I have to face the pain. Well, I want you to understand, like, I don't want you to feel like that's forced, right? But the ability to effectively confront things, it takes time. Absolutely. Thank you as well for receiving those messages, Carly. And thank you guys for supporting each other in the comments. Oh, really, Dada? Oh, wow. Yeah, there was a lot of like. Here's the thing: I love like that. This is like my favorite 3 of Pentacles, and it's very different than the 3 of Pentacles we're typically traditionally used to seeing. Kathy, thank you for the follow. Oh, thank you for also receiving this message, Ed. You're so welcome, Fun Size. And thank you for receiving this. Oh, hold on a minute. Yep, just reading over. Oh, Dada. I'm sending you so much support on that journey. Yeah. Thank you as well for receiving this message, Nicole. Emotional damage. Absolutely. But I like to point out it doesn't feel so much like this doesn't feel like emotional damage so much as it feels like emotional savage, like salvage to a certain extent, you know? Absolutely. You're so welcome. Fun. Hold on a minute. And we got to get to, I know, I can't believe we got to 50K so quickly. Oh, that's very kind of you to say, Shiv. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Excellent. And thank you for those hashtags, Nicole. Oh, what's a super fan box? Oh, is that what that is? Oh, yeah, guys, if you want to become a super fan, it's a great time to. Apparently, that box will give you a discount on super fan. Little treasure chest. Thank you for letting me know. I didn't realize that, Nicole. Nikki. Fuzzy Mike is a forbidden pet. I love that. Absolutely. Someone open the dang box. I appreciate you, Nikki. Absolutely. So if anybody wants to become a super fan here, there's a special in terms of hitting that box. Excellent. And thank you again for that meteor showers fun size. You've been added to the list again. I don't think you confused anyone, Kath. We are doing personals, Alexandra, but the list is very, I'm keeping a very short list. In fact, I'm closing the list. Absolutely. I still see it on my part. I don't know if that means it's not fully, I don't know if you guys still see it on yours, but I still see the box, which means I don't know if it's been opened. Do not pat Fuzzy Night because it looks so soft. I know I've got you on the list, Alexandra. I'm going to read the list right now. Okay. So the list we have right now is Danae, Alexandra, and Fun Size. And Fun Size, yep, no, I've got you on the list here. And if anybody else, like as I mentioned, the list is now closed. Unless I need to confirm Fun Size, I have you on the list twice. So are you looking for two readings today, or are you looking to hold one of those readings? I just want to confirm because I might be able to take one more. Okay. All right. The first person we're reading for today is going to be Danae. Danae, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And as I mentioned, the list is closed today, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll have first priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. But before we begin, thank you for reminding me, Creative. We are going to do that 50K giveaway. You can absolutely grab a mod 1 card, okay? If you could just let me know what your question is, I'll be happy to do that for you now. Excellent. And guys, please take a moment to thank Kay for all of their help today in modding. Okay. And Amar, these are donation-based reads. So if you would like to have a reading, a personal reading, it is a donation of 3 cards for $29 or more. However, we will be doing free 1 cards today for those who are paid members, if you'd like to become a paid member. Yeah, you can absolutely get on the list for tomorrow, Kath. I'll add you right now. You'll be the first person read for. Just bear with me one moment. Okay. You're so welcome. Okay. Can I get clarification on that information? You know, I keep on hearing the words to the best of their knowledge is what I'm getting. And the thing about it is, and I keep on hearing, there's something important about to the best of their knowledge, which is to say, I'm not sure, like, I'm not sure about the integrity of the person that told them, is what I'm getting. Animal Oracle. Yeah, it's like, I feel like it's not, I keep on hearing, it's not the fact that what they heard is true, but the integrity from which of from the point by which the other, like where they heard it from, is what I'm getting. I hope that helps, dear. All right. That said, we are going to continue right now. And Kath, I've added you. You said, what was the date that you got added to it? Hold on a minute. Kath, hold on. Let me just confirm that. Last Wednesday. Thank you, dear. Oh, I've got you. Absolutely. Okay, perfect. You've been added to the list, and you also have priority for tomorrow. Excellent. Okay. And Carl, these are donation-based reads, so the list is closed today. But if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. We're also doing one card readings. We're also doing one card readings for super fans if you'd like to become a super fan. Okay. All right. Second call for Danae, and while we wait for Danae, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the otter. Thank you. We'll do it again after the next reading. And before we continue, though, we are going to do the 50K giveaway. So hold a moment on the reading. So I am going to think of a number right now between 1 and 39. First person I see that posts the reading, the question, the number will get the reading. First person I see, not the first person that posted. Sometimes I post things in a different order than you guys see, than I see them, than you guys post them. Nikki. Okay, congratulations. You got it. Thank you so much. We'll do that again when we get to 100K. All right, let's get to it. I never submit. Well, when you do, look at that. When you do actually participate, look what happens. It was excellent. All right, let's get to it. And it's okay, Nikki. It happens. You surrounded it. And getting back to Danae's reading. Danae, can you please confirm you're still here, dear? Mm-hmm. Yep, question. I got you, dear. Thank you for letting me know. And just a reminder, friends, if you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes. When you send the donation, you can also post it in our subscriber-only disco channels in the appropriate channels. Okay. And all right, I've got you here, dear. I'm going to pin you up. Guys, make sure to give Danae some love. And thank you for getting on the list. You'll actually have an additional card in your reading for being first. So, I feel like there's something I'm seeing um, that's really important in relationality to working into the context, working into the context with someone that, um, like, there's a message that's coming through in terms of what it means to build into the context of what it means to be a good collaborator, is what I keep on getting. And the thing I keep on seeing in relationality to healthy or positive collaboration is the space by which another person, like, it's saying to me, it's the space by which another person articulates and, like, I keep on hearing, speaks about you as glowingly as you effectively speak about them. And I feel like there's something really important about that, because I'm not sure what I'm seeing here, but I feel like I'm almost identifying, right? Like, I feel like I see you, like, I see you doing some kind of work in terms of, um, like, and I like to point this out, like, when we are good leaders, we bring other people into rooms with us, is what I keep on identifying. And what I mean by that is it's the observation of understanding that the state or nature by which we articulate or we work upon things is the space by which we effectively identify opportunities. And I keep on seeing, I feel like there's something really important and significant about that, because I just keep on seeing a situation um, by which, like, it's almost articulating to me that I see something that's potentially happening there that is about you being able to navigate building relationships with energy that is respective to you as you are to them, which is the state or nature by which I keep on hearing, like, when you're building into when you're building into, and even as I'm trying to read for you, like, I'm getting a lot of this, like, clearing, but the modality or the experience by which another person articulates upon, like how energetically precious they are to you, and why, and like why they identify or recognize your energetic importance in something. And the reason it feels like, I feel like that's really like, I feel like you've got a lot of wounds there, you know? And I want to point out, there's something really there's something I need to point out that happens in the state or nature by which another person tries to claim credit for something. And I want to point this out because what we often identify, right, is when another person, and I want to stress this, I want you to understand, I feel like there's something about that where you have to understand good leaders are perpetually actively listening. And when I say good leaders are perpetually actively listening, which is the understanding, like, and you'll often see this, right? You'll see somebody who tries to march into a room and try to claim credit for something, right? And they'll be like, whose idea was that? Right. There's that person, and they'll be like, oh, it was mine. And they'll be like, well, like I keep on hearing, well, that's interesting, is what I keep on getting. And it's interesting because I'm not sure why, but I hear one of your guides going, survey says, right? And the reason I keep on hearing survey says is because the modality or the experience by which I keep on hearing something by which another person is able to articulate from a point of like not needing hearsay, like not needing hearsay, but being able to say like the facts are very present. I almost feel like it's interesting because I feel like I'm not sure what I'm reading here around you, but it almost like it feels to me like I don't know why, like I don't know why I'm hearing the word like I don't know why I'm hearing the word perjury, but like and the thing about it is like, and I want to like I want to describe this. It's not you, like it's not you that I'm worried about. It feels more to me like some type of energy where another person, right, like I literally see somebody energetically articulating upon something and another person being like, yeah, please go on about it, right? And I see them going on, and every time I keep wondering, every time they speak, right, like I don't know why I keep on seeing this, but it's like every time they speak, they're digging, right, like they're digging themselves a little deeper, is what I get, you know the modality. But I don't know why I keep on hearing something where it's like I just keep on getting the same message, right? Like every time, every time they speak, they dig themselves a little deeper because it's the observation or the understanding, right? The observation or the understanding of being able to energetically, um and I feel like this is what I mean, like I mean, like I keep on getting, you're fine, is what I keep on getting. Like you're fine. So I want you to be conscientious because all I keep on seeing in this reading is it feels like something is moving in your favor. And not only does it feel like something is moving in your favor, there's almost like there's some kind of message that's coming through here. Because I just keep on hearing a guide say, like, yeah, a little bit deeper, right? Like I almost see somebody that's going like, okay, yeah, no, I need you to come back here. No, I need you to come back in here because I need you to dig yourself a little bit deeper, is what I keep on getting. You know, like the modality or the situation. And I literally, like, because I don't know why. I don't know if there's something that you do where honesty is really important because like I see something here, right? Like I keep on getting, like I keep on hearing it's like something that potentially it's like it almost feels like something that potentially started as a fib, right? Like it almost somebody started as a fib that now is like I just keep on seeing like the fib that becomes a figment, is what I keep on getting. right? Like paying somebody who's noticing a tendency of someone's fib who becomes a figment, which is the modality by which, like, instead of correcting somebody's tendency, I keep on somebody's tendency, instead of identifying and being like, oh, I made a mistake, being like, no, 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 right? Like it just gets bigger. You know what I mean? And I feel like there's something about that in some way, shape, or form is arriving or coming to light. So I want you to be energetically attentive about it, because it feels to me like there's something really important there I just keep on hearing, like, you've got a guide saying you have to be patient when something's coming to light. Confirmation. You have to be patient when something's coming to light, because it's the understanding and the recognition by which another person, right? Like I feel like I actually feel like I have to identify here. It feels like I feel like there's something coming towards you that may be that may be kind of surprising, because I mean, again, like in like the space by which I see these cards, like these cards together, like it feels like somebody trying to bury something, but it also feels like someone trying to bury something and another person's literally watching them, right? Like they're literally watching them try to bury it, is what I keep on getting. Like, and that's the thing about it. Like, I just keep on seeing somebody being like, no, let them continue. You know, like it's giving me a lot of that, like, no, 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 let them continue. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of that. So just be conscientious about that, because I just feel like there's something important there. Um, and continue, like, don't just be on, like, I feel like continue, like, let your honesty, like, let your integrity speak for itself, is what I keep on getting. Let your integrity speak for itself. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is and again, if yeah, like, and again, like, I know it feels like there was something weird there, but it's not your weird. It's not your weird. It feels like somebody trying to navigate someone else's weird, you know? Okay. Thank you. And I'm glad that you know what I'm talking about. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is closed, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. You'll also have an additional card in your reading. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. King, I need you to address the code of conduct that we have that's pinned to my profile. Um, you're not, I don't know who you're calling. You're not calling me. I don't know who you are. So I also want to point out that I do not do readings over the phone. So if there's someone that you're communicating with that is articulating that they're me, that is not me. The only way I articulate frequently that the only way you can book a reading with me is over my site or to have a live reading here. That's also why I provide the date on of today listed at the top. So please be conscientious of that. And also, I need to ask you to stop spamming the chat space with the same message. That's not allowed in the context of a healthy flow of conversation. I'm going to mute you right now to be able to remove those so that others can communicate effectively. Thank you. And thank you for that hashtag, Nicole. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I'm better with numbers than animals. Yep. All right. I mean, I feel like AC, you're asking me to hide you from this channel too, because I just articulated that that's not permitted. So there we go. You got what you'd like. Perfect. There we are. Well done, Kay. Mm-hmm. Amazing. And thank you for those flowers, SW. And Sarah, thank you for the follow. I know the otter has been coming. Like, listen, it's the otter coming out this past week. I feel like, it's like Mars is in Taurus, which is like it's fine. Like it's gonna come up, you know? You have a beautiful day, Kay. And Lainey, thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's okay, creative. Yeah, things feel off right now, but I don't feel like it's related to you, is what I keep on seeing. Yeah, and sending you support, creative. I hope anything I gave you in terms of that was clarifying what I was seeing. I've been trying to be collaborative, but I feel, yeah, but that's what I'm getting to, right? The identification point of what feels like a healthy collaboration. Like healthy collaborations have transparency, right? Yeah. Oh, okay. Thank you for confirming the legal energy I was seeing. The reads are closed today, Colleen, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the second person read for. And you'll also have priority, which means you'll be read for before the daily collective. Lainey, the list is closed today, but if you want priority tomorrow, all you have to do is send the donation today and you'll have priority tomorrow. You won't be the first person read for. We already have someone who's claimed that spot, but you'll be the second. Absolutely. You're so welcome, dear. Okay. All right, let's continue right now. The next person we're reading for today is Alexandra. Alexandra, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And if anybody else would like to get on the list today, you'll be the third person read for. How you doing? I mean, not the third, you'll be the first person read for tomorrow. All right, perfect. It's on the disco. I got you, dear. One moment, please. So just a reminder, friends, if you are a super fan, you have access to the super fan only disco channel where you can post your information related to the reading. I need a moment. I believe this feels like it's inside tea. Okay, so I need a moment to read over this. While I do so, I'm going to give you guys a hearth warmer. How are you shifting a mindset in terms of the difference between doing something and being something, right? How does it change something you're doing in terms of what you have to do versus what you have to be? Okay. Amar, these are donation-based readings. We do a free collective reading each day, which has already occurred. If you go backwards into the recording, you'll be able to find the free reading. Those who are requesting personal readings must those are donation-based. So if you'd like to stay here, sometimes the readings that we have are able to help those who also need them. But I hope that helps clarify the way that this works. Me too, Alastro. I'll take that compliment. Appreciate it. All right. And just bear with me as I read over some sensitive information related to this reading. Mm-hmm. 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 Mm. Okay. Um, can I get, yeah, I already got, yeah. For, mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Yep, I got it. There's a lot of messages coming through. Yeah. Mm, okay, so that's exactly what I expected to say. Okay. All right. So here's the thing about it, okay? Yes, yes and no, right? Because what I'm basically identifying is what I'm basically identifying is the observation of working into, right? And I want to point out there's something very important. The word that I'm coming that's coming through right now is the two words I see. And I want you to understand when I articulate these words to you, when I articulate these words to you, it doesn't mean you have to change anything that you've chosen to do, but the context by which you're potentially articulating and delivering the information may change in relationality to receiving these two words. Um, and the words that I'm seeing, okay? And I have to grab your book for it because I feel like there's something important here about the observation and understanding what we identify as a teachable moment. And what I mean by that is um and I keep on hearing I keep on hearing and this is what I keep on getting. This is the message that's coming through from your guide, and it's coming through very, very strongly, which is to say, a teachable moment is not a lesson. Okay. It feels like a very important koan to navigate this situation with. A teachable moment, a teachable moment is not a lesson. What that basically means is when we are identifying, right, when we're doing something that's energetically healthy, then it's the observation of working into a context by which we do what we must and we leave something better than we found it. So the one thing to so on the and you've done most of that here, right? Because what we effectively identify is, there was something that occurred, right? There was something that occurred between you and this individual. And in the context by which they did so, what you effectively identify or what you effectively feel occurred was someone not potentially being respective, right? Someone was not being respective of the time that you are effectively giving them, right? So the observation or the understanding of working into the context of time and the observation by which you yourself were working to effectively arrive into that space of navigating what felt energetically possible, and in the experience by which you were working into the possibility of it, then the observation of the understanding, the qualifier, if you will, that you were potentially anticipating or experiencing in the state or nature by which another person was being able to communicate to you, right? Asking you for something, and then you giving it to them, right? You making the space for it, and then them not taking into consideration the time that you made to make the space, right? And so the ability for you to articulate to them that that was a grievous injury, right? That was a grievous injury in the nature of a friendship is the space by which you're able to articulate to them fully why something wasn't okay. And in the modality by which you've done that, then that would be and then you being able to articulate to them, right? And I think that this is the most important thing to potentially navigate in relationality to what you're communicating to them. Because when we're working to actually heal, okay? When we're working to actually heal, then the ability to articulate to another what they can reasonably do in order to effectively repair is how we practice do good diligence in terms of articulating to another, right? Whether there is a possibility of healing. So I feel like there is a little bit of shadow work here to do. And the shadow work that I see that's your energetic responsibility to navigate is in the space by which you left something energetically open to interpretation, right? And I keep on getting like making sure, right? Making sure that you're not leaving something open to interpretation, because that's you almost saying, like, the difference between you saying, right? And this is what you have to recognize, the difference between you saying to someone respectfully, right? Like, respectfully, the position that you put me in is one that I'm not inclined to experience again, and I don't think that there's a way to repair it, so we leave it there. Is the space by which we effectively, like, that is us building closure into painful experiences by articulating to another not just what we do, but the fact that there isn't anything, right? And that's okay, right? It's perfectly okay to say to someone in a state of maturation, this is not a recoverable moment, right? And that is okay. Like, that's what we do. That's what we do in the context of healthy relationships, right? We articulate and identify to each other what feel like repairable moments versus circumstances or situations by which we don't feel that that's possible. So we have that experience here by which you're potentially articulating to another whether that capability is there. However, what you want to be conscientious about is if you said to them, right, if you did something that said, right, the space by which you effectively blocked communication, but then potentially articulated and said, you haven't done enough, right? That's a mixed message, right? Because that would effectively be interpreted as a mixed message because it's a space by which you're not saying, right? Being mindful of the fact by which you're saying, you're not saying, okay, there's nothing you can do, but the fact that you say, try again. Like, what you're potentially broadcasting to them is not the fact that the relationship is over, but you're almost encouraging them. What you might be broadcasting to them is to have to try harder to energetically win back a relationship with you. And that's what you want to be energetically conscientious of, bottom of the deck. Because again, right, what we want to avoid is potentially sending a mixed message. And a mixed message would be the identification point and saying, right, like the difference between saying, we no longer speak, and this is the reason or nature by which we are no longer speaking, versus saying, you haven't said the right thing to me, right? So making sure that you're being clear to them what those expectations are in order to make sure that what doesn't happen going forward is someone who potentially like proceeds to try to navigate or not respect your boundaries because they don't understand what those boundaries are. So just making sure, like again, like the thing like almost like I feel like the thing you can effectively identify, and this is I feel like your homework is figuring out what the qualifier is that you're potentially seeking in order for there to be some kind of resolution. And if you can't conceive it, it's okay for you to articulate that to them and to say to them, I don't really think that there's something recoverable here. Right? That's you kind of being the mature energy in the room. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this mess, and it's interesting too, because it's one of your guides, like it's saying to me, the reason I'm feeling this so strongly is because there's one of your guides that has a lot of grievous injuries as it relates to unclear boundaries is what I was getting. So for me, I'm almost seeing like one of your guides is really sensitive about this, which is why they're articulating upon it so emphatically. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is closed, but if you'd like to get on the list for tomorrow, you will be the second person read for. I'm going to take a moment for anyone who's waiting for one cards. If you're a super fan or a paid member, we have one more reading today before we move into one card readings. I'm going to take a moment to read over the comments that came through as I was reading. Locke, thank you for the follow. Lainey, the list is closed today, but if you want to get on the list tomorrow, you can be the second person read for. Thank you guys for helping each other and clarifying. Yep, it's 29, Colleen. And Michelle, thank you for the follow. Hi there, Atlantis. Yeah, I wanted them to repair, but to be taken seriously. Like no, I feel like that. No, it says to me like what I was getting from that reading, and it was coming directly from one of your guides, which is saying making sure that you're clear to them whether there there's something that there more that they can do, or if this is where you leave it, right? Like making sure that you're not inadvertently sending a mixed message by saying I don't want to talk to you versus saying this isn't you haven't said what I expected you to. Absolutely. And thank you guys for supporting each other in these readings. The next person we're reading for today is Fun Size. Fun Size, could you let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer? You're so welcome, dear. Okay. Second call right now for Fun Size. Second call right now for Fun Size. And if Fun Size is not here, we're going to move into one card readings for super fans. Oh, I've got you. Okay, 1 minute. Please hold, guys. All right. Before we continue right now, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I'll reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the dog. We'll do that again after the next reading. Okay, let's see here. And we're doing a general. Guys, I've pinned up Fun. Guys, make sure to give Fun some love. Can I please get 3 cards, please? Oh, Lord. You are not somebody's messenger. Nor are you nor are you the glue that has to hold a relationship together. You know, what is this? What is this that I'm seeing here? Okay, this feels like some kind of imbalanced energy. And the thing about it is, you know, I got to tell you, like, make sure, like, here's the thing about it. Do not get in the middle of somebody else's argument, because honestly, the only person that gets burned with, especially if somebody's in a relationship with another person, the person that gets burned in situations like that is always the person in the middle. Okay? Because the thing about, especially if the relationship's toxic, especially, and here's the thing about it, okay? Healthy relationships do not bring their relationship problems outside of the partnership. And I mean that. And that's not to say, unless you're getting paid for it, like, unless someone is putting money in your hands to do that work. Okay. Unless someone is putting, that's why we put money. That's why we put money in people's hands to do that work. Okay. Because typically where all the hard feelings go, when there is an argument in a relationship, right? Like the space by which another person can't take you being there for someone personally. I don't know what this is. It feels like tug of war energy. Okay? It feels like tug of war energy, and I don't like it. Because often, right? Like, and I want to point this out, all right? When energy is in healthy relationship, they like, when an individual's in healthy relationship, they work really hard to make sure to navigate the space by which they're energetically quarreling, all right? Because others do not become their arrows. I'm going to say that again. Healthy relationship navigates quarrel internally, not making others each other's, not turning people into arrows. Okay? And I need to stress this, but unhealthy relationships, okay, unhealthy relationships will do the opposite, right? Unhealthy relationships will literally try to make it it's like the drama that gets everywhere. All right? It's the drama by which another person is trying to unload their business on anything and everyone around them, right? And what happens? All that happens in that context every time is when they come back together, right? There's everybody else, right? They get cleansed, right? They go through it, like, they have their dispute, they get cleansed, and then there's everybody else with their hands dirty, right? There's everybody else around them that ends up in a space that is that's energetically uncomfortable. And I feel like you have to have that type of conversation with someone, because I keep on hearing this. When individuals are going through a relationship dispute, the sound you should not hear is help me. The sound you should hear is, what can I do? Right? And what can I do? And I need to point this out. What can I do does not require someone to choose a side, right? What can I do? What can I do does not require another person to become another person's army. Okay, what can I do is the space by which we say to another person, how can I help? How can I help you navigate this as effectively as necessary? But not the space, right? Not the space by which you energetically articulate, right? Not the space by which you have to effectively, like, act as intermediary in terms of them hurling a weapon at the other, right? And you can usually tell the difference. Like, I'll tell you right now, you can usually tell the difference between energy that's trying its best to navigate something versus another person trying to be adversarial or trying to start a war, because the space by which another person, right, Usually it's the energy that's energetically quiet or it's doing its best to work through it, versus someone that's trying to articulate to everyone, right? Like, it's very interesting when another person is trying to broadcast an energetic story of what is energetically occurring that often feels like a distortion of what's really happening, right? Like the broadcasted distortion, I keep on hearing the broadcasted distortion where another person is energetically silent is often all you need to see in relationality to being able to understand and navigate what's actually occurring. And I feel like there's something about that that's really important, because I keep on seeing that the energy, like somebody articulating, right? The space by which another person tries to articulate, right? And you'll often notice this. The modality or the experience by which another person is trying to effectively communicate, it is often like you'll usually see, like I like to point out, like the space by which another person tries to identify and say that something is, like something is important or it's helping, is often the space by which they identify, right? Like it's the quiet support that means volumes. And I think that that's really important, because I don't know what it is that I see that you're navigating right now. But the thing that you have to recognize is healthy energy understands if they're putting someone in uncomfortable situations. I'm going to say that again. Healthy energy understands when another person is in an uncomfortable situation. It's not the space by which another person forces another individual to do something uncomfortable for them. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah, here, like I got a lot. Like, here's the thing about it. I've got a lot of this energy here. I've got a Queen of Wands in its reversal with a King of Cups in its reversal and Queen of Pentacles, right? And here's the thing about it, and this is often what happens, right? The space by which another person articulates or amplifies, right? The space by which another person articulates or amplifies the fact that they're not happy. And then what happens, right? The modality by which another person comes back together. It's the modality or the experience which another person is identifying the fact that they're choosing their unhappiness, right? And this can often articulate upon codependent situations. And this is often what happens when I see somebody who's navigating a relationship with a friendship, or somebody who's someone who has a friendship with someone who's in a codependent relationship, because it puts the person who's beside the energy in a codependent like beside the codependent relationship, in the worst possible position, because it's the energy that's continuing to articulate the fact that they're unhappy, and they're broadcasting the fact that they need something to be done. And then you try to do something, and it's very convenient because they run back, and now you, right now, you are the source. Like, now you are the source of the energetic inconvenience, specifically and particularly because they're not staying energetically confident in relationality to navigating their choices. So I feel like it's you having to observe, like I feel like it's you having to say to someone, right? And this is what you can identify. If you're navigating the space by which another person is in a codependent relationship like that, right? Then you can be there and say, anything you need, I'm here, but you're not going to be their messenger. That's what I mean. We don't ask each other. We don't weaponize each other. And it's not okay for another person to try to weaponize another, which is to say, do this for me or else we're not friends anymore. That's not a friend, right? There's no or else in a healthy friendship. There's no or else in a healthy friendship. And often the space by which another person does that, that's the context by which the friendship is already ended, because another person isn't being compassionate about the situation that they're energetically placing you in. So make sure that you're taking, right? That's not you being selfish. That's you articulating upon what is and is not appropriate. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And you can and like that's, and I know it's hard, but that's you being the voice of reason in a situation, right? And you can say, I don't, I see both of them. I see two energies around. You can say, like, you can say that to both of them, right? Be like that's you saying, like, you are not other energy. You are not that, you are not the lifeline in another person's, like, you are not the lifeline in another person's failing relationship. You are a person too. Thank you so much, dear. I'm sorry, because there was an ancestral coming through on that as well. Very heated. And Michelle, thank you for the follow. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, letting go of last relationship because of an abandonment wound. Thank you for confirming. Yeah, of their, but because of their, and that's what I was seeing about it too, right? And I need to point out, right, if that energy cannot articulate upon the fact that you're a priority, do not let, like, do not get in some kind of like wacky triangulation situation. Yeah. I choose me because of unhealthy patterns and no resolve. I hope that helps, dear. And I'm sending you so much support on that journey. Michelle, thank you for the follow. If you can, so the list is closed today, but if you want to come back tomorrow, that one will be available for you, dear. Thank you. Absolutely. Excellent. All right, let's get to it. And thank you. I appreciate the gifts, Mary. All right, let's continue. We are now doing one card readings for super fans or anyone who's a paid member over on the place where we keep the videos. Oh, wonderful. Great. Okay, one card for Ava, please. Go for it. I feel like it's going to help you inspire. Like, I feel like it's going to help you take something more seriously. Bottom of the deck, especially with the strength card, right? It feels to me like it's helping you do something that you would typically avoid. Animal oracle, please. Yeah, blackbird. It's interesting. I feel like there's some kind of shadow work connected to it. You know, it feels like there's something about working through a vulnerability there, but in a healthy way. You know, like a little discomfort every day is how we get more comfortable in things. Yeah, I got you, Nicole. Happy to do so. Okay, just bear with me a moment. Let me just add Nicole to the list. All right, Nicole, you've been added and you also have priority. And if anybody else wants to get on the list tomorrow, you'll be the third person read for. Divine guidance for Ivana, please. One card. Make sure that you're taking some time to have you need a creative chat outlet. It doesn't have to be something big, but a little bit of time each day as an outlet of your creativity, especially with this Six of Swords and its reversal, right? I feel like it's going to help you like allow for some context of releasing anxiety, especially with the cat, you know, like I keep on hearing creativity is a beautiful outlet. Absolutely. Good to see you, Adina. Guys, make sure to give Adina some love. I had a beautiful podcast with them just a while back. You can find it on her page or over on my stack. Bridget, one card, highest priority, please. This feels like you entering some kind of new energetic cycle. Bottom of the deck, it feels positive. It feels like a change. I feel like I see you. I feel like I see you releasing something in order to facilitate something new or taking some kind of new approaches to things. Um, Animal oracle, yeah, especially with the salmon energy. You know, I feel like there's something about you letting go of some kind of unhealthy cycle or being able to, I feel like you being able to articulate to another like what you are and are not available for. Like the life-changing power of honoring our no thank you. Nicole, highest priority, please. Um, every moment is precious, right? And if another person does not recognize what a precious moment is, it's not your responsibility to show them. Animal oracle. Yeah, I got it. It's interesting. It feels like somebody's ancestral energy is moving towards you, right? Like it feels like somebody in spirit trying to issue you an apology, particularly and especially as it relates to you applying, like I keep wondering, you applying a compassion to a ridiculous situation. Oh, you're so welcome, Fun Size. Thank you for being here, and looking forward to that other reading. Absolutely. You're so welcome. You're so welcome, Ivana. Oh, she is, isn't she? Good to see you, Michelle. Highest priority for Denise, please. Highest priority for Denise. Um, you know, I need to point out, um, you should have known. When somebody says you should have known, that can be closure because it's you should have told me. You know, bottom of the deck, paying a lot of attention of someone paying a lot of attention to someone who likes to traumatize us by storing information instead of articulating it. Like that in itself is a very important form of closure. Animal oracle, yeah, the seal energy, right? When we care about each other, we do our best to keep each other informed, and that doesn't mean that we're perfect, but it's the identification point of the fact that we're perpetually trying to learn, or we're perpetually trying to do something in a way that's better than we have ever done it before. Hold on a moment. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Hi there. I know. I love the salmon energy too. I need a good change. Alexandra, one card, advice on refining communication. Yeah. It's the same message that I was getting before. Making sure that you're being clear to someone as to whether there's something, like if there's something that they can do better, articulating what it is rather than like, and if it's not, like saying like, look, this is like making sure that you're clear in terms of whether you want them, like the difference between saying I don't want to talk to you or I want you to address this is the difference. Bottom of the deck, yeah, it's the difference as to whether it's the space by which we understand. Like I said, we don't teach lessons but teachable moment, in terms of saying like, this is not okay, this is what you can do to, this is what I could expect that would allow the relationship to be remedied, versus saying, I don't think that there's any possibility of coming back from this. Um, Animal oracle, yeah, the dog energy, right? So not leaving, like not the space by which, that making sure you're not saying to another person the difference between like no thank you versus try again, is what I get. You have a beautiful day, Bridget. Absolutely. One moment. Alexandra, yep, absolutely. And Bleed, thank you for the follow. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, just a reminder that I will be back on tomorrow, and we will continue. Our. Hold on a minute. If you are on the list already, we will be back on tomorrow, and you can get on the list today if you would like priority tomorrow, which means you'll be read for before we start the daily collective. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, and you'll be the third person read for. Anyone who gets on the list today will have first choice in being read for tomorrow before we begin the daily collective. Also, if you became a super fan or a paid member today, welcome. I would encourage you to head over to our super fan only disco channel and introduce yourself to the collective. If you'd like the link to that disco channel, just send me a message with a disco GIF and I'll be happy to send it to you. You can also, if you are joining us, if you are a paid member over on the place where we keep the videos, you can also have access by sending me a direct message as well. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today. If you missed the Daily Collective, it'll be up on the place where we keep the videos. It'll also be up on the place where we keep the photos. It'll also be up as a podcast. over on the play. It'll also be up as a podcast right now over on the spot. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here today and receiving them. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means, oh, I got you. It's my highest for hits, my please. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Cups. Make sure that you're putting some time aside each day to build towards your manifestation goal in whatever form that is. That's either the space by which you're able to refine upon it or the space by which you identify that you're working through it. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah, especially with the Four of Cups in its reversal, it says to me it's totally okay to have more than one manifestation goal, right? So long, I keep wondering, so long as the manifestation goals are unified, so long as the energy by which you're working towards many different ones, allowing the space by which you're able to unify the cohesion of it, allows for a deeper ability to be able to move towards them, especially with the cat energy. Make sure that you're not building too much into distraction right now. So recognize what feels like it's moving you towards it versus something that doesn't necessarily feel like it's serving you. How you doing today, Julie? Good to see you. Final call right now for anyone who is a super fan who has not had a card pulled yet. And again, I want to thank you guys so much for being. Yeah, we're doing one cards right now, Julie. That's why I was pausing. And for TKR, Carlos, actually, it would be tarot is a farce. You can't state tarot farce because that's not a complete sentence. So make sure that you're putting in there, if you're going to say that tarot is a farce, make sure that you're saying it appropriately. Um, Also understanding, also trying to understand if you are navigating, like, it's interesting that you utilize farce because farce would be indicative of the fact that it's a true, like, so the thing about farce is true. So it's funny that you say that tarot is farcical because that would actually indicate the fact that it puts a light spin on something that's very true. So in a way, like, if you're identifying the fact that avatars are caricatures, then and I have to point out there is an element of truth to what you're saying. So I appreciate the fact that you're giving your insight to the situation in relationality to how we navigate the understanding of the cards. We were doing readings here at TK, but we're completing our day today. We're doing one card readings for super fans and paid members. I will confirm that right now, Colleen, and I'll add you to the list. And you'll be the third person read for tomorrow, and you'll also have priority. Excellent. We should be back on tomorrow at about 10:15 a.m. Eastern. Absolutely. I got you, Julie. Yep. No, we're closed on readings today, Julie, but if you want to get on the list tomorrow, you'll be the fourth person read for. Okay. And Page of Cups, Julie. So this is articulating or talking to me about circumstances or experiences. Don't let someone coming towards you in a nasty way bring out the worst in you, because it's understanding, like, when someone's trying to egg you on, they usually need eggs, right? Right? Don't as then I said it, as soon as I did that, my phone started heating up. Don't give eggs to the eggless. You know, like, don't give eggs to the eggless is what I'm getting, especially with that eagle. Absolutely. I got you, Avatar. Highest priority, please. Yeah, the Knight of Wands. Make sure that you're communicating to someone exactly what your needs are. You know, don't let someone be like, "Oh, I didn't like." Don't let somebody try to say to you like, "Oh, I didn't say that." Be like, "Well, then clarify what you meant." Right? Clarify what you meant. What did you mean by that? Right? Form a full sentence is what I keep on hearing with the swan energy. You're so welcome, dear. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you. It's interesting too, Avatar. It's interesting. The status has just disappeared for a minute. I got you, Ella. One card for Ella, please. Um, don't don't just don't the thing about I need to point out this type of energy is bringing out the worst in people, or like the worst anxieties and fears, right? Why would that be the case is a powerful prayer, right? If somebody's got a fear, like the space by which another person is able to reasonably articulate what they're experiencing is how we build into something supportive, right? It's not the space by which we allow our fears to get to us, but the space by which we're able to identify, like I keep on hearing, like if we're worried about things, then doing things is how we resolve it. Not the space by which we just articulate upon our worries, because often when we articulate our worries, they just get worse is what I keep on saying. So almost like I feel like it's almost you saying like, look, like I feel like it's almost you having to say to someone like, like I care, but what are you doing about the fear? Right? Like I feel like there's something important about that. Thank you so much, dear. All right. I got you. 810, one card highest priority. Um, take some time to fix your environment. Like make it like here's the thing about it, and it feels like the thing is our environment does change our it does change our point of view. So I feel like it's you making sure to prioritize getting out of an environment. Okay. Juju, it's not my space to convince you as to what's true. I would actually articulate the best way for you to kind of understand if there's quality to this is allowing it to be present and to see if you see like the identification point of allowing the observation of what occurs to reaffirm or understand if there's something qualitatively important there. So I think that there's like I always point out, my job, my job is never to convince someone about it, but my work in doing it, I hope helps you show that there's something qualitatively important about it that can be taken into consideration. I hope that helps, dear. And I also teach classes. I also teach classes to that same effect. And I want to point out like there's a lot of spirituality that we observe, there's nothing you can't there's no healthy spirituality that is amplified or articulated from the state of feeling like something needs to be proved, right? Because you have to understand that even in the context by which when you're looking to be proved, you're already walking towards something with doubt. So that's also very important as well. Very true. I would never stop from helping those. And here's the thing about it, right? The context and the quality of understanding, and this is often what I try to help others understand here. The quality and the experience of working through something allows us to recognize and identify the force by which we're effectively able to apply a sense of energetic integrity to things. So, if you come towards something constantly doubting, you'll probably see a lot of things to doubt in it. But if you allow yourself the ability to be receptive to it, you're going to be able to see the possibilities there, because you have to understand the quality and condition by which you perceive the world is what you effectively receive. So that's why I always say it's not my responsibility to try to guide you in the path of understanding that there's something there, because it's only going to be open to you in the space by which you're willing to receive it. I hope that helps, dear. We are having some issues right now over on the clock app, so I am going to finish 810's reading. So 810, the bottom of the deck that we had there was the Tower card. So working into the context of being able to articulate and understand, not allowing frustration to impede you, but allowing it to be able to effectively continue a conversation. Yep, particularly with the seal. Don't react from a point of trigger, but with a sense of genuine interest. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages today. My apologies to those who we may have lost on the clock app. I'm having some technical issues right now that we're working to resolve. As I mentioned, I'll be back on tomorrow. And if you get on the list today, you'll be the first person read for. You'll be the third person read for tomorrow. I hope you guys, I know I did, Nicole, and I apologize for that. I'm having some issues with my device. I want to thank you guys, and and again, I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of each other. We will be back on tomorrow at our usual time. Thank you so much, and I hope. Yep, I got you, Nicole. One card, highest priority. Didn't I already draw a card for you? All right, one card, highest priority, please. Yeah, the Chariot. Continue. I keep on hearing continue at unabated in relationality to what it is that you're doing right now. Yeah, particularly and especially with the Tower card. I feel like I already articulated this reading to you, but the space by which another person's ancestral is trying to articulate the fact that you have their support. I just keep on seeing, don't allow that to confound you, allow it to be supportive. Thank you so much, dear. Oh, Nikki. Oh, that's why. It's interesting too, because it feels like it's the same message coming through. It actually feels to me like somebody's trying to articulate, like it says to me, like somebody is respective on everything you're trying to do to energetically heal a situation. That it's not, I keep wondering, it's not easy, but they see the fact that you're trying to help another person. Like I feel like it's them recognizing that you're trying to help another person see what they could be doing better. So it almost feels like somebody trying to articulate the fact that they're trying to say thank you to you. And I would be very conscientious paying attention to your dream space right now. All right, my friends, I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.